Hi. Hello. It's 6:31 in the fucking morning. It's Skycatlive. It's 7:02. This is the second time that I've done this intro with this video on this stream in the last fucking half an hour. I had to restart this fucking video twice. And I had a really good start to the previous video with a cat and everything who sat on my chest. But now the software developers fucked me and stole 20 minutes and forced me to reset my windows and all this. So I call for the death of the software development scene. I want you guys in prison. I'm not kidding. I want Blizzard, Square Enix. I want Microsoft and Google and Amazon, and let's throw in some 4chan and Reddit too. I want all of those software entities completely fucking prosecuted and imprisoned. You guys keep throwing drug people in the streets who do drugs into prison. I need the software developers, 7 different entities: Microsoft, Google, IBM, we'll do Amazon and Facebook and Twitter, and these are all the things that are killing the world. 6 or 7 terrible entities that are killing the fucking world. That, you know, America just banned TikTok, you know what I mean, particularly because these pieces of shit, they kill the world. So hey kitty, you wanna come visit? Hey, sissy. Nope, she's pissed at me now because I'm angry. So that's okay. She's angry that I won't let her outside because she's a really good kitty. I have a new kitty because my stepfather died last Sunday. And I have inherited his cat. She showed up at my house. It was yesterday, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday. She showed up at my front door, and she was sitting outside, and she was just looking at me. And she was like, I live here. And I was like, oh, okay, you live here. She lives here now. And you know, often this is usually what women do to me. Ironically, they show up, and they don't show up in my front door. That would be nice. But, but they show up in my life, and they inform me that they're moving in. And I either have to accept this or tell them no, one or the other. And I didn't say no to her. She's a beautiful kitty. Hey, come here. Yeah, come see me. Yeah, come for the camera. Yeah, come here. Hi. Hey, can we get you on camera? Yeah, we can get you on camera. Hi, kitty. I love you. So here's a good kitty. I have inherited her from my stepfather, Jerry. And she is Jerry's cat. Her name is Sissy, but she's my cat now. And she knew it, but I didn't know it. And I didn't know it till the other day. She just showed up at my front door, and she's like, hello, my previous owner has passed. You are my new owner now. And I was like, okay, no problem. No problem, kitty. I love you. She's quite the predator. She goes out there and she gets at least 1 mouse, maybe 2. Like 1 mouse a day, usually 2, something like that. And it's annoying. She leaves the corpses, and so does the other cat. They leave the corpses all over our lawns. And every day there's at least another 1, if not 2, fucking mouse corpses out there that we constantly have to pick up. Because these predator cats, they're like house cats, and they're half feral. She's half feral. Her brother isn't. But she's half feral. Oh, look at the kitty. Can we get you on camera? Yeah, can we get you on the camera? You're so cute. Yeah. So, hey, do you like how I had to restart this video and do everything repeatedly twice with the same words and the same content and the same cat? Do you like how I had to do the last 20 minutes twice? Isn't that cute? It's because the software developers suck dick, and they should be prosecuted and jailed. For all the things that they threw us in jail for drugs, I want to do to the corpos who fuck up the software development scene. Hey, dear corpo, like Elon Musk, you fucking piece of shit, cock-sucking fucking effort. I'm saying this right to your fucking face. They try to throw me in jail for drugs my whole life. I want to throw you in jail for being a software developer. All those 55,000 drug prisons in America, I want software developers in those. I don't want druggies in those prisons. Druggies don't harm anybody. I mean, they do, but they don't really. Not like software developers who build systems to collate the Jews in World War II. I'm sorry, am I referring to something? I am. It's IBM and the Holocaust. You think I'm kidding, but no. IBM helped the Nazis kill Jews in World War II. What is Microsoft going to do in World War III? Are they going to sign up with Russia, China, and Palestine and sell them nuclear bombs so they can bomb us? I think so. I think that's what IBM and Microsoft are planning to do. You think I'm fucking kidding, but no. I think right now, today, I think whoever's running Microsoft is in talks with probably the worst dictators in the world. as they plan to sell computers to homicidal shithead dictators. You think I'm kidding? But no, I actually really am calling for the death and or prosecution of most of the world's software developers because they do stuff like sell computers to the Nazis so they can kill Jews. You think I'm kidding? That's what they've been doing since 1943, but it's been 100 years since then. So what have they been doing in the last 100 years? They fucked up airplanes, they fucked up cell phones, they fucked up computers, and they like only they only continue to progress in hardware. Anything having to do with software is just a goddamn grip with it. I mean, software is just this like piece of code that should technically be free, that gets some job done. And if you want to charge millions of dollars of it, like IBM or Microsoft, I think you are like Satan, and I believe you should be thrown in jail. You are the worst form of capitalists. You think that a bit of code should be worth billions of dollars, even if it is Microsoft Windows? The answer is no, piece of shit software developer. I'm not really willing to pay you for software. I know that sounds selfish and fucked up, but I'm really not willing to pay for an operating system. So many willing, good nerds in the world who aren't like IBM and Microsoft, and who helped Nazis in the Holocaust and shit like this, or whatever, World War III, or, I mean, you know, who do you think sold computers to the Afghanis? Who shot our troops in Afghanistan? You know, who do you think sold computers to our enemy in Afghanistan? I guarantee it's Microsoft. I guarantee it. Microsoft, right, direct, wholesale to the homicidal dictator. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Just like guns and bombs and bullets. You know, like bullets mainly. Like really, I guarantee that Microsoft sold all of the computers that the what was that fake ass shit that the fucking brain dead piece of shit Republicans lied about? Was it it was I'm sorry, it was Osama bin Laden, right? Or whatever that fucking lie was that I've never even come close to believing. You know? Yeah, you can blame Osama for 9/11. I blame rich white people like Bill Gates and, you know, Donald Trump and the real perpetrator, Dick Cheney. And so you really, really want to blame those sand people. Like Star Wars. And I just blamed the rich white man like Dick Cheney, who actually committed 9/11 and killed 4,000 of America's troops. You know, that was Dick Cheney. It was full-blown Dick Cheney. It was Dick Cheney and George Bush Jr. And they killed 3,000 Americans. We don't know why. They're worthless piece of shit traitors. I mean, you think I'm kidding? No. I mean, this is the truth. I mean, it's the actual truth. I mean, you know, go and Google it, bitch. Google it, bitch. It is the truth. Building 7 burned. Nothing happened to Building 7. The building fell down, but never in the history of mankind has a jetliner taken down a skyscraper of that size. It's just goddamn impossible. You'd have to fucking implode the building. You can lie to idiots in America like the right wing and fucking lie to them for 30 years about Obama got Osama. But it doesn't really matter. Software developers committed 9/11, just like they're going to commit World War III. And when World War III happens, they're going to sell computers to Donald Trump so he can kill poor white people and Mexicans. You think I'm kidding, but no, I mean this. Who do you think's going to sell computers to the Republicans as they rage out and cause World War III? Did you think it was going to be some enemy computer maker? No, it's IBM and Microsoft working with America's worst enemies, and they should be prosecuted. You think I'm kidding? No, I'm not kidding. No. They should be prosecuted. Absolutely. You think I'm fucking kidding? No. You think I'm doing this to make money on my stream? No, I'm doing it because the worst problem in the fucking world is software developers. I wish it wasn't. All the time I marvel at how stupid it is that humanity's worst problem is software developers. All the time I wake up in the morning and I marvel at it. I'm like, oh no, the worst problem that I ever heard in my life wasn't the Holocaust or World War II. It's World War III caused by software developers, because yes, since World War II, the software developers have been selling computers to genocidal maniacs like Hitler. We don't know why. You know, you think that they would work in the interest of America, but no, they sell Palantir like state tips and state secrets. Palantir sells all of our state secrets to our enemies. Software developers sell all of our state secrets to to our worst enemies. They've been doing it since World War II. You think I'm kidding? No, I really believe that they should be hung in Times Square. I believe that Bill Gates should be hung in Times Square. You think I'm fucking kidding? No. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyways, and this is the truth. I come to give you the truth. This is the truth. Dick Cheney and George Bush Jr. killed 4,000 Americans by imploding a building while they were all inside. Nothing happened to Building 7, but there was a bunch of financial records in there, like Enron and all this other stuff, right? That they were using to hide the fact that they steal all of our money, control our government, use their software to kill us in war and all this crazy shit, and sell Palantir secrets to our worst enemy through Operation Ivy Bells. You think I'm kidding when I say Operation Ivy Bells? You're like, what the fuck is he talking about? He must be a crazy, conspiracy theorist nut. No, I'm gonna pull this right off the Wikipedia. IBM and the Holocaust. Oh, it must be some crazy conspiracy. Yeah. Oh man, I just made this up out of my piece of shit software developer ass or whatever, right? No, I'm not like them. I don't lie, cheat, and steal and fuck people over and rape children. I'm not like them. You know what I'm saying? Not like they not like us. They not like us. They not. These software developers who create things like Operation Ivy Bells, they sell out the world to the highest genocidal bidder. You think I'm kidding? They're the true sense of the word robber baron. They're the true sense of the word of warlords. They're warlords and robber barons, and they're using information instead of swords to sell us out to the world's worst genocidal dictators. I call for the death of all the software developers in the world. I'd rather remake my own Linux OS than have the current corrupt software development scene and Microsoft and IBM in the Holocaust and, Microsoft in World War III. I will not have Microsoft selling computers to my worst enemy like they did in World War II so that we almost lost. I just will not do that. Yeah, the strategic technology services rendered by the US-based multinational corporation International Business Machines and its German and other European subsidiaries for the government of Adolf Hitler. You want to know why your grandfather died in World War II? You thought it was because of the Nazis or the Koreans or the Japanese? No. IBM. Microsoft. I mean, yeah, he got shot by foreign powers, but the people who empowered those people to fight us, IBM or Microsoft, right? They're the actual fucking enemy. You think I'm kidding? I'll pull this shit directly. Operation Ivy Bells was a 1971 joint United States Navy Central Intelligence Agency and National Security Agency mission whose objective was to place wiretaps on Soviet underwater communication lines during the Cold War. And when the Soviets started doing that to Cuba, we started doing it to the whole known world. Microsoft and Palantir tap into the cables in the ocean. You think I'm kidding? You think I'm crazy? But no, I'm pulling this from the Wikipedia. This isn't some crazy theory. This is the truth. Microsoft has been killing Jews since 1942. Kill Microsoft. So anyways, okay, we're going to move on here. I'm going to do some actual content. I had to restart this stream. I'm 15 minutes in after losing 15 minutes to software developers who suck dick and fuck up Microsoft, fuck up OBS, fuck up software, rape children, sell fucking like farm currency that child molesters use to buy child porn. That's what software developers are making money with right now. They are making Bitcoin. They're farming it so that child molesters can buy drugs and rape children on the internet. That is what software developers actually are. I don't think you understand it. If we want good software, we will have to do it ourselves. If we allow rich white men like Bill Gates to take over software, they will patronize Jeffrey. When they get caught patronizing Jeffrey like Donald Trump, they will be bent over by Putin in the world stage because Republicans suck at everything they've ever done, including being competent around software developers. Republicans get bent over by software developers since IBM and the Holocaust. Since IBM and the Holocaust, politicians and especially right-wingers have been getting fucking butt thrusted by goddamn software developers since 1935. You think I'm kidding? Do you really think I'm kidding? As I pull this Wikipedia page. No. And we do need to call for the death of the software developer scene as it is right now. I believe Bill Gates should be in jail. I really do. Not just for the child rape, but for Microsoft. And you think I'm kidding, but no. Most of the world's problems are stemmed directly from software developers right now. Right now, today. Right now, today, they're raping children and signing non-disclosure agreements with world powers. And getting caught by Palantir. And getting blackmailed by Russia. What do you think? How do you think Putin walks all over Trump? It's because Putin knows that Trump fucking patronized Jeffrey Epstein. Trump patronized Jeffrey Epstein, his whole Republican cabal that the QAnon talks about all the fucking time. They're not some cabal. They're just rich white men who rape children and fucking fuck up the world. They're not some cabal. QAnon are retards. They're not some cabal. They're just rich white men who want to stay rich and want to keep raping children and producing software so they can use it to destroy us. What do you think AI is? Now that we got the truth out, I made my daily fuck the software developers, imprison them speech, right? We're gonna move on. You think I'm kidding? You think it's an obsession? No, it's not an obsession. Every day I wake up and I have to restart my computer at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times, as software developers ruin my software experience, steal from me, and sell out to the biggest government fucking contenders, our biggest adversaries, so that they can use computers to defeat us in war. You think I'm kidding? No, not at all. I call for the death of the current software developer scene, and maybe if we can't fire them and get them out of software development, maybe we kill them, because I think they're going to fight us over it. That's how much power they've gained over software development. You guys think it's PR. Yeah, from 1916 until 2016, the most powerful force on the planet was public relations. Now, it's software development. People have been fucked up and screwed by public relations since 1916 or something like this, and we're very, very aware that it runs the entire goddamn world. There's them doing nothing, sycophantically sitting on chairs, doing nothing all of their fucking life, while they just tell the public what our shitheads are doing. Right there, see it? But look, they're all fat. They all sit there and do nothing. They're the do-nothing piece of shit media. Just like me, they're fat. They sit there and do nothing. They play their software all of their lives, and they sit there with their glasses, and they watch our politicians lie, and then they publish the lies. And that's who they are. You know, it's the media. They do our public relations. They show the world what our fucking politicians and our software developers are doing before they rape us and kill us and sell us out to our worst enemies. Consult IBM and the Holocaust if you don't believe me, but yes, the reason we almost lost World War II isn't because of the atom bomb or the Holocaust or anything like this. And yeah, it really hurt America and it really hurt the world that so many Jews were murdered in World War II. It really did. It fucking hurt the world. It was a terrible, terrible thing. And and this was because our biggest software people, even back then, before the internet, were selling computers to our worst enemies so that we lose wars. Even back in World War II, where there wasn't even the internet. You think I'm kidding? No. I wish I was, but no. Software developers are using the media and public relations to take over our whole world. You know, a lot of people have been terrified about it for 100 fucking years, but now it's morphed into something else. Now it's morphed into IBM and the Holocaust, where computer makers sell us out to our worst enemies. Consult Palantir if you don't believe me. Do you guys know what Palantir is? All of this is true. I can prove it in the court of law. It's not some fucking conspiracy theory. I don't work in theories. I work in actual substantive, evidence. And in Palantir, I can't believe you're in Denver. Get out of Denver, you fucking piece of shit software developer, cock-sucking fucking foul demons. Get the fuck out of Denver. Of course they're in Denver. It's the known hub of the entire world. You'd have to be an idiot not to know it. Denver is the hub of the entire fucking world. It's either Denver or London, one or the other, or New York. But I mean, really, Denver is the hub of the West. The West is more powerful than the East. Denver is the fucking greatest city in the world. You think I'm kidding, but no. I mean, why do you think Palantir's there? Palantir Gotham, where they try to kill us all, like the Joker. Palantir Foundry, where they try to burn us all in their fucking forge. Palantir Apollo, where I don't even know what this means. It's something having to do with men. Notice how male it sounds. It's Palantir. Probably this is like Palantir's like I don't even know. And Palantir AIP. I don't even know what AIP is. Palantir Gotham is an intelligence and defense tool used by militaries. I need my phone. I have to go alert my best friends. The Palantir is based in Denver. So if they have to fight some war, they know who to kill. I'll be right back. Yeah, if you want to stop World War, you don't go bomb Russia or China or the Middle East. Right? If you want to stop World War, you don't go bomb Russia or China or the Middle East like the Republican piece of shit backstabbing traitor cocksuckers have been talking about for like 10 years and shit. And I mean this. I'm not kidding, right? If you want to stop the next World War, you go to Denver and you blow up Palantir and you kill Peter Thiel. Sorry. I'm sorry, kitty. I can't let you out. Not for another 2 hours. Something. Yeah. So, yeah. And did you guys know that Palantir is based in Denver? Hi, kitty. I love you. I'm sorry. I'll pay attention to you now. I was talking about killing Peter Thiel and Palantir. No, not killing him, but I would never kill anybody. But I mean killing the image and business of Peter Thiel and Palantir. I mean it. Because these people, they are what are causing all of our problems. This is why the prices are so high. Is because everybody bends our world leaders like Trump, mainly Trump. I mean, like Joe Biden was just asleep. You know what I'm saying? Trump's still awake enough to get bent over by people like Peter Thiel and fucking and Putin. And this is because they know that Trump rapes children and they bend him over like a little bitch. Putin bends Trump over like a little bitch because Palantir sold Putin the information and the pictures of Donald Trump getting on the Lolita Express. You know, I'm dead serious. Like, this stuff, information is the greatest resource that there is. And like, so yeah, so if you ever want to stop World War III, you don't ever go to some foreign country and fight some poor sucker who's been, you know, conscripted in his nation's army, because that's just rude. What the fuck does that, what's your complaint with that tool? It's Peter Thiel and Palantir Technologies in Denver, Colorado.
Odorama that took place, yes. This is, I need you to understand something, okay? Once this is implemented, it's over, okay?
Yep,
like,
it's
every
over.
single step being
See if I can get the kitty
in
on
this
camera.
direction is not because there's a real need or a necessity for this kind of step being taken. It's for a larger project, and the larger project is identical to what the Nazis did. We're gonna get started, obviously, on the Big Booty Cheeks bill. I covered it extensively yesterday with David Dane, as you guys know. There was a vote-orama that took place yesterday where, you know, legislators were going up and down, figuring out whatever kind of like additional things that they wanted to add into the bill. They did that, and they officially passed it this morning. Obviously, this is devastating, as I warned yesterday.
The cats are the real stars of the world. They let us live here. They don't give a flying fuck what humans do, because they let us live here. They run this planet.
It is a completely psychotic wealth distribution.
Skycat runs this planet, bitch. Don't get it twisted.
So it is one of the worst bills. It is one of the most fascist bills. It is terrifying, and it's most likely going to pass in the House of Representatives too at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it is what it is. America winning. We're winning. Oh, we're winning so hard. I can't wait. 17 million
we're
people
winning so hard.
Kicked out of health insurance as a consequence of the underfunding of Medicaid. 17 million
17 million.
We don't even know the full extent of the bill yet, because they basically were adding stuff. They were writing the bill up until the last moment where they voted on it. So we don't even know the full extent of it yet. But as we parse through,
my God, Kitty, you're so annoying.
A lot of the high-level things that we've discussed: Medicaid cuts, work requirements for SNAP and Medicaid in general, but then also simultaneously a ton of funding for the American military, but for ICE in particular. That's a really terrifying amount of money. Why do they want to overfund ICE like this? Well, because ICE's major hurdle at this point, in order to do these like concentration camps, in order to operate as the Gestapo secret police force that Trump wants it to be, they don't have enough funding.
Get your butt out of my face.
To work at ICE. Rural hospitals are gone. Underserved neighborhoods where the hospitals require Medicaid expenditures, done. At a time when rural hospitals are already in a place of crisis. It is over. What is their end goal here? What do you mean? Fascism, 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 shock doctrine, fascism, privatize everything, kill the working poor, make sure that their lives are horrible, and when they speak out, take away their citizenship. It's not happening yet, Kitty. And I've been...
Damn it, Kitty.
Warning about this, but this is the final stage. This
Damn
is
it,
how
Kitty.
It's always worked.
I know this is your keyboard,
history.
and you're
That
permitting me to use it, but you know, damn it, Kitty. I'm trying to watch something. Oh my God, you're annoying.
Right now, we are doing domestic shock doctrine. We have been doing it since 9/11, but this is kicking it into high gear, basically hitting the last level, okay? Would you have expected us to get here as quickly as we did? Feels nuts. Yes. Trump is greatly accelerating.
I did. I thought it would be faster than this. I thought, honestly, this has dragged out. I thought Trump would have started World War III by by month 1. I just figured he would lose all pretenses and just try to Republican the whole world. And I think this has been dragged out. I thought the death of the world would have happened the first month of his presidency. I mean, that's really what I expected from the Republicans. I thought we were going to see World War III the first month of his presidency. I really did. I still do. I mean, it's not even been a year, and we're so close to that because of him.
6 months at this point. We're nearing
6 months. Yeah, I can't believe 6 months. I didn't think we would make it this long.
Months, yeah. It was like 5 months and change, and here we are. We bombed Iran. The genocide of the Palestinians.
Why do we bomb Iran?
We are accelerating weapons transfers to Israel. Hassan has been calling this for several years, and every lip has been saying he's been exaggerating. I know. And we're here. Where are the liberals? We got concentration camps.
Where are the liberals? We're in prison. What do you mean where are the liberals? What do you mean the liberal? Where are the liberals? Like there are like 1 million incarcerated Americans and shit. A bunch of them are fucking criminals. And like, you know, and we're like a bunch of them are liberals. They're in prison. Most of them are in prison. It's insane. Like the liberals, we were thrown in jail for drugs. What did you think happened?
The issue has basically taken root, so much so that people don't even question it at this point, and that lie needs a solution. I feel like we're going to spend the rest of our lives trying to undo everything in this bill alone. Stuff like Medicare for All is taking a backseat to just defending the minimum we already...
Oh, look, she's photogenic. Yep, she likes the camera. Look. Yep. Oh, so cute.
We had our imagination shrink. Yes, because when Republicans come to power, they do everything they can
to fascist up the place and bring another world war. They like war. They think war is the point of the human race. I don't think you can ever catch them saying it, but they believe this. They think that everybody should be at war all the time and pushing some argument.
These kinds of budget,
they really do believe this. Now, you could never catch them saying it, but they like war. They want to be at war all the time. It's just it's one of the reasons why I think maybe the country should split. I think half the country who thinks that we shouldn't ever go to war should be on the left side, west. And I think half the country who thinks that we should be at war all the time can go fight the rest of the world on the east. Give them New York, like just split this country in half. And if they want to go fight the rest of the fucking world, let the nukes fall on New York. I want the West safe from fucking piece of shit, button pushing, genocidal right wing maniacs. I don't like piece of shit right wing genocidal button pushing maniacs, and that's who the right wing are.
To undermine any kind of amenities that the working poor got in the past like 100 years or so, and they do it successfully every single time they're in power. And then the Democrats don't even claw back any of those gains. Like they don't even restore the normal order once they are in power. This is what is also known as the ratchet effect. This is where we're at. Where would you go live that's better? And they aren't concentration camps. They're not going to pull people's eyes out or gas them or kill them. They're just holding them until they can go back to their country where they came from. I hope you understand something here. You're never going to understand this reality because you probably are a completely...
Okay, she's going to let me play games. I'm sorry. Oh, no. Oh, maybe not. We'll see. I don't know. You going to let me play video games, or are you going to force me to pay attention to you? Okay, thank you.
Oblivious to history. This is exactly what the average German nationalist said about the Jews.
Yeah.
They were like, listen, these guys...
Listen, dude, this is exactly what they say about Mexicans all the time. It's exactly how they treated Jews right before World War II. And I will not fucking stand by your fucking right-wing piece of shit racism any longer. Fuck you guys. I don't ever want to hear the word Mexican out of your fucking right-wing piece of shit, fucking shit-filled mouths ever again. I don't ever want the right wing to ever use the word Mexican ever again. I really don't. I don't. Keep the Mexican's name out of your fucking mouths, you pieces of shit. I don't care what you think about Mexicans. You're a bunch of worthless ass racists.
Represent a national security threat. It's perfectly valid to take away their citizenship, and it's perfectly valid to put them in a concentration camp as we move them away. We're not gonna claw their eyes out. I don't know why that's we're not gonna kill them.
No, we're not gonna kill them.
This is how the Holocaust literally happened, okay? Yep, I'm sick and tired of explaining it. What is the point? What is the point of learning about history if you are just not going to learn about history at all, or take away any lessons from it whatsoever, or ever use it as a decent analogy to what's going on currently? What the hell is happening here? How are 5150 votes allowed? Because it's a budget reconciliation. I think all of it should be 5150 for the record. Like, I think that technically it would all be 5150 as a minimum necessary vote if it wasn't for the filibuster. Like, a regular majority would be fine to pass most bills if it wasn't for the filibuster. And the filibuster can be voted on to avoid the filibuster. That's why you need a supermajority. That's why you need more than 50 votes. This was a budget reconciliation, so there is no filibuster regardless. This is passing as a budget reconciliation, which is a basic majority bill. Like, the only hope and a dream we have is the Tea Party being insane and just being such rugged libertarians that they are just like, I don't care, we're not doing any deficit, fuck you, I'm not voting for it. Once again, our hope and a dream is on some of the most psychotic in the country, some of the most psychotic representatives in the country. I am praying to my Lord Jesus Christ, Jesus H. Christ, our Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior.
Also, perhaps more importantly, Hayek, Milton Friedman, Ayn Rand, and the Koch brother that is still alive, and the one that's dead, that the Tea Party pulls through and just nukes this out of orbit once again. For it. Once again, our hope and a dream is on some of the most psychotic in the country, some of the most psychotic representatives in the country. I am praying to my Lord Jesus Christ.
Praying to my Lord Jesus Christ that you go away, that the Republican Party goes away.
Jesus H. Christ, our Lord and Savior, and also, perhaps more importantly, Hayek, Milton Friedman, Ayn Rand, and
Milton Friedman and Ayn Rand
that is still alive. And the one that's
the Koch
dead,
brother that's
that the Tea Party
alive.
pulls through and just
the Peter Thiel kills Peter Thiel.
Nukes this out of orbit once again and causes more instability. That is the only thing I am praying to the Rand Corporation. Please, Donald Trump, save me. Okay? I'm telling you, this is the only thing that will maybe potentially stop this from pushing in the House of Representatives is the rabid far-right Tea Party caucus, the Freedom Caucus, as they're known, which is unlikely. I'm still going to pray to all of the gods that they believe, the gods of capitalism, the gods of anarcho-capitalism. Please, for the love of Christ and all things holy, whatever the
please stop being right-wingers. Please. Your war and your bullshit is unacceptable. Yeah, you got a pretty meow, kitty, I admit. You got a nice meow. It's a very cat meow. Yeah. Meow, meow. You've got a cat meow. I'm not letting you out till 9 a.m. My mother must sleep.
You believe in, okay? Please.
I know what you're going to do. You're going to go wake up my mother and tell her that I didn't feed you when I've been shoving a plate of food in your face for 2 hours. Yeah, and you won't eat. And you're going to tell her that I didn't feed you. I know what you're going to do. And so, no, you're not going up there to wake her up. She's been under too much stress lately. You have to stay down here. I'm sorry. Go away. Go away. Yep, go away right now. Go away. I love you.
Please nuke this. It won't happen. They went along with it last tax bill. I know, but I shouldn't stop dreaming.
Hi. Oh, you're back again.
Yeah, 60% of nursing homes' income comes from Medicaid.
Yeah, I dismissed you, and you realize that I have the power, and I can dismiss you. Yeah, I can dismiss you. I can be like, go away. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to do that to you, kitty. If you want to cuddle, you can. Oh my God, you're so annoying. I need a better mic stand that doesn't screw me and a wire that doesn't disconnect all the time. Oh, look at the pretty kitty. Yeah. I can't get a good angle on you, kitty. You're so annoying. Why can't I get one good angle? It's so annoying. Here, let's get her on the camera. You're so annoying, kitty.
By the way,
Oh, let's get her a present. She's so annoying. Let's get her a present.
are melting the poor, the working poor, and the old, okay? Once again, they do not care. And this isn't like the dog catches the car moment, because it clearly doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't matter, because if there is no true opposition to this, if there isn't like a united front and a real difference, if there is...
My stomach is flat now, so she's like lying on it. She really likes that my stomach is flat.
No one on the other side, if there aren't like 1,000 different Zoran Mamdanis.
I look big and fat, but I'm not anymore. I'm like 200 and I don't know, 30 some odd pounds, 236 or something like that. And like, so it's weird. I don't have a flat stomach, but I definitely don't have a belly as much as I used to. And she's not used to it. She's like, where's your big belly that I used to lie on? I'm like, I don't know. I've been working out.
that bloom as a consequence of this devastation.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to you. Hello, hello, sissy. I love you. I'm not letting you out until 9 a.m. I'm sorry. You missed the morning hunt. I'm terribly sorry. She gets very angry that I won't let her go hunt at 5 in the morning, but I know what she'll do. She'll go fucking wake my mother up at 5 in the morning. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let her do that.
And the Democrats are still operating on
The cats should not run my mother's life, you know, like they do too. They show up at their behest and at their hours, and they don't care about waking her up at 5 in the fucking morning. And she's like 90 years old almost. She needs her sleep. Yeah, that's to you, Kitty. I'm talking about you. You guys wake up my mother way too much, and I need you to stop doing that.
Hakeem Jeffries notion of politics, the Chuck Schumer notion of politics.
Oh, yeah, bitch. It's 7-Eleven. The only 7-Eleven that matters. Beer, it's 7-Eleven in the morning.
They're just going to get more and more angry. And in that volatility, as we have seen in the past couple of decades, they become incredibly easy to manipulate. They become more and more angry at, like, random people. They become scared of their own shadows.
Yeah, they do.
Do you not understand?
Yeah, this is how fascists work. Yep.
Been screaming about. This is precisely the reason why.
What we've been talking
sitting around
about.
And expecting the Americans to come to terms with like this economic devastation is idiotic. It's dangerous. 50% of individuals over the age of 75 and 2/3 of those over 85 are on Medicaid. 60% of all nursing home residents receive care funded by Medicaid. Long-term nursing home care is funded by Medicaid. Okay? These are people who have Medicare, but also, in order to get the proper funding for...
I love Hassan. I like, even if he does have like kind of a checkered past, I don't think he's done anything for me to want to cancel him or anything. And I really love Hassan. I am a Hassan orbiter now, and I hate to say that, but I am. Like, I needed a star on the left.
Long-term nursing home care, they get Medicaid. What do we do with... the old people? Did we just kill them? Did we just melt them? What are
No. They suffer. Anytime Republicans come to power, people suffer. I swear to God, look at what happened with George Bush and 9/11. Look at what happened with Donald Trump and COVID. Look at what happened with Nixon and goddamn fucking Vietnam. Look at what happened. Like, it's like Republicans bring suffering. Sooner or later, we're going to have to actually acknowledge it.
What are they gonna do?
We're talking about extending.
So we can pause this one. Apparently, live, the House is meeting to debate this this terrible bill that's gonna kill our country. Oh my God! Oh no! Hey, the nays are up. The nays are up. The nays are up. Oh, to debate Senate Amendment to One Beautiful Bill Act. Okay.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar, and
Ooh, different microphone. Anyways, I want to go back to what I was watching, though. Where was that? I want to hear the rest of what Hassan was saying. Why did you take it away in the first fucking place? I did not close that fucking video. Whatever. You're so dumb and bad at what you do, you piece of shit software developers. I would see you in jail. Fuck you, YouTube. Stop fucking with me.
The 2017 tax.
Fucking front end is goddamn garbage and constantly breaks. It's so annoying. And your fucking white screens of goddamn retardation. Fuck you, software developers. I'll see you in jail.
Tax cuts. Overhaul eligibility for Medicaid and food stamps. No taxes on tips or overtime. That was a big campaign promise that
you force hundreds of millions of people to suffer. Why shouldn't you be in jail with your piece of shit ass front end? You're fucking passing the cost of business onto the consumer with your terrible ass front ends and your big white screens and all your problems and all your ads and everything. I call for the death of the goddamn YouTube. I think so. I think it's time to kill YouTube now. Unless you stop treating us like this. YouTube is exactly like the Republicans. They push us around trying to sell us stuff all the goddamn time so they can push their goddamn...
President Trump was out there talking.
Chat, with this bill, ICE is getting direct appropriations to the tune of $30 billion with a B, okay? $30 billion. On top of that, with the
$30 billion
additional expenditures to all Customs and Border Patrol, okay, whether it be state expenditures, whether it be detention expenditures, or whether it be additional funding for immigration courts and immigration detention centers, the total number goes up to $175 billion.
Nice, I wasn't rated.
With the new appropriations for Customs and Border Protection, CBP, immigration courts, detention expansion, and state-level border assistance, the bill and its immigration enforcement budget totals
I'm going to let you out in 1 hour and 38 minutes, okay? 1 hour and 38 minutes, kitty. You can count them. It's going to be just a little while longer. I'm sorry.
$75.155 billion with a B. With a B. Please understand how psychotic this is. The budget will give, once again, $175 billion to immigration enforcement broadly. This puts CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, and American Immigration Enforcement at a higher budget than, I think, virtually every other country's military. This makes it the most expensive law enforcement apparatus on the planet. This makes it like this is more than the GDP of nation states. One must ask the question why this much funding is necessary. Because the reason why they're doing this, you have to understand, the reason why they're doing this is because they are gearing up for ethnic cleansing, okay, internally. That is the point. The major hurdle, as I have said time and time again, for ICE deportations, like mass deportations like the ones that we've seen so far, which at a very limited capacity, even though it's still harrowing, it's still awful, was the major hurdle against that was literally not the lack of ambition, but instead logistics. There isn't enough places to put, enough concentration camps to put the people that are being grabbed and detained. And this will not stay. Just like I said, there is no world where they're like grabbing all undocumented migrants that are criminals or whatever, because there aren't that many criminal migrants in this country, right? Because the criminal migrants that do heinous crimes, they get prosecuted and they go to prison. Like the notion that, oh, if you're undocumented and you do a crime, you get away with it. Like, that's bullshit. That's made up. Trump has lied about that over and over and over again. So I told you that they were going to go after regular migrant workers that have the proper authorization to work on U.S. soil right now, and they have been. They've been going after migrants that have been checking in with ICE, that ICE knows exactly where they live, ICE knows exactly where they work. They've been going after as many people as they possibly can, because they want to make a show of force. But a big part of the issue here is simply the lack of funding. They don't have enough people to do mass apprehensions all around the country. They do not have enough facilities to place people into after doing mass apprehensions all across the country. And now this bill creates a funding vehicle to do that. Watch this space. It is one of the most important parts of the right-wing reactionary fascist agenda. Everything is funneled through immigration enforcement for them, because it is the one area that the executive office has more authority over. So if you use immigration enforcement as the driving vehicle of your internal military, your secret police force, you can get away with a lot more unconstitutional while still simultaneously eroding what remains of constitutional protection to begin with. And eventually, they are going to go after political dissidents as well. First, they're going to go after every single undocumented migrant that whose immigration status has been in limbo. Then they'll go after DACA. Then they will start denaturalizing people. First, if you've been naturalized as a citizen in the past 5 years, you're probably first to go. Then 10 years. Then eventually they will call into question any American citizen's citizenship status and inevitably move on to natural-born U.S. citizens as well. If this does not stop, that is where it will go. And it won't be because these people are, heinous criminals or whatever, even though that is what the Trump administration will keep saying over and over again. It will be because all of these people will be considered political dissidents, a danger, a threat to American national security. A lot of people look at the aftermath of Nazi Germany's violence and they go, oh, well, you can't compare this to the Holocaust. Like, what are you talking about? Not realizing that the denaturalization process was legal in Nazi Germany, okay? The remigration process and the removal of people's citizenship was a part of this, and the messaging was exactly the same. Once again, Trump is going after American citizens next. It's not going to stay with just non-citizens, okay? Here
like
it
you
is.
say, a little controversial, but I couldn't care less. We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that
51-50 United States of 51, 49-51 get nothing done.
allowed it to happen, and it did happen. But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time.
You are the bad people who have been here a long time, Trump.
People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill
Like you, Trump, like you. Like what you did to the country.
people that knife you when you're walking down the street.
Like you. You knifed us in the back, you piece of
They're all
shit.
to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them.
Were you born in this country? I don't know. I bet you were probably born on some fucking 747 plane going to New York or London or something. I bet you. Like, to London or Paris or something. Were you born in our country? Because I bet you were born on a fucking high-speed jet. I guarantee it. Fucking weird. And your ass was wiped all of your goddamn, life by servants, so you don't know what work is, so you don't care about firing 50% of the workforce, because you don't do any work.
too. You want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next.
This is, I need you to understand something, okay? Once this is implemented, it's over, okay? Like, every single step being taken in this direction is not because there's a real need or a necessity for this kind of step being taken. It's for a larger project, and the larger project is identical to what the Nazis did, eventually taking away the citizenship status and making American citizens stateless, okay? Obviously, you start off by claiming you're going after criminals, and a lot of Americans have no interest in thinking about this and assuming that this is like an unreasonable step. They will go along with it. They will say, oh yeah, well what, you want rapists to stay in the country? F them. Not realizing once you can denaturalize American nationals, American citizens, it will not stay with criminals. This is also, obviously ridiculous to do to American criminals to begin with, but it is a logical conclusion to reactionary ideology, because if you think the only solution to crime is more and more severe deterrence measures, more and more severe penalties, then yeah, of course you're going to take away people's citizenship. What do you mean? You should kill them, right? Like, that's the whole point. The Economist uses 10 charts to explain Trump's big, beautiful bill. The overhaul of taxation and spending would spell trouble for America. SNAP losses in federal funding. Federal funding losses for SNAP from the House OBB 2029 forecast percentage. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. One way the House and Senate bills cut spending is to cut programs that benefit poorer Americans. Food stamps, or to give the program its full title, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is one such program. Analysis of the House bill by the Commonwealth Fund, a think tank that shows that this will particularly affect some states where Mr. Trump won very high shares of the vote, such as Mississippi. On the impact of health insurance, and this is like, the redder they are, the higher the federal funding losses are. On health insurance, estimated people losing health insurance by 2034 under the House Big Beautiful Bill and other existing laws. The biggest change to social policy, though, is in health insurance. Through a mixture of tax changes and cuts to Medicaid, health insurance for the poorer, the number of Americans without health insurance will rise. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the House bill would increase the number of uninsured Americans by nearly 12 million by 2034. Some estimates put this number at 17 million. Remember, these are some of the poorest people. They need it desperately. They need this Medicaid desperately so they can actually go and get some kind of health care. That Medicaid actually funds a lot of these rural...
But they're foul and they work for Satan and they wish us to die. It's the Republican Party. Abolish them like slavery. They're goddamn fucking pieces of shit. And they've been killing our country for 100 years. Get them the fuck out of here, the fucking traitors.
Republicans are also using the OBBB to gut the Inflation Reduction Act.
Of course they are. They're pieces of shit. They want us to die.
Critics say will choke off.
How long till we get them out of here? Fuck these guys. Fuck them. They're worse than Nazis now. They don't have as many goddamn deaths, but they will.
De facto repeal would reduce that by more than 10%.
They have not killed as many people,
utility bills
but they will.
The Senate version adds taxes on wind and solar projects that fail to comply with the rules that limit the use of materials from certain foreign countries, such as China. One less discussed but consequential provision buried in the tax bill is a tax on remittances. Early drafts proposed a rate as high as 3.5%, but the Senate version pulled the tax rate down to 1% and narrow the types of transactions that this applies to. Modeling by the Center for Global Development, a think tank found that the impact on El Salvador would be equivalent to just 0.006% of gross national income, down from more than the 1% under the House bill. Still, after deep cuts to foreign aid earlier this year, Big Booty Cheeks bill will be another squeeze on some of the world's poorer countries. Even if the bill clears the Senate, several House Republicans have said they will oppose the latest version, citing concerns about cost and content. Whatever its eventual shape and ultimate fate, the Big Booty Cheeks bill is a test of the Republican majority's fiscal credentials and of its loyalty to Donald Trump. And as I said, it also offers $175 billion to Trump's immigrant enforcement agenda. $175 billion. Larger than some other countries' GDP, okay?
Yep.
I'm going to have David Dayen on to talk about the big, beautiful bill, to talk about Zoran's victory, and to talk about the SCOTUS stuff as well. David Dayen of the American Prospect is here, ladies and gentlemen. Longtime supporter of the show and everything I've ever said. Right, David?
Absolutely.
Everything I've ever said
exactly
unquestioningly.
Right. What are you, Trump?
Yeah.
What's with this loyalty?
This is an ambush, yeah. This is a loyalty pledge. David, I want to start off. I know that we're going to be talking about the big, beautiful bill. I call it Big Booty Bill because his booty cheeks. But before we get to that, what are your thoughts about Zoran Mamdani? Because that's like currently the number one thing that everyone is talking about. And obviously for progressive media figures such as yourself, this was a tremendous success, right? I feel like it definitely performed above my expectations for sure.
Well, he ran a great race. I happened to be in New York just before the election, and watching the media there, every single ad promoted that New York Times editorial that was essentially an anti-endorsement of Mamdani. Yeah. And, you know, the fact not only that he beat the big money, that he beat the establishment entrenchment of an Andrew Cuomo, but that he beat the liberal Bible of the New York Times, and that was not a factor in the race. It shows what polls have already shown, which is that Democrats are fed up with their leaders, that they want to see a new style of leadership, they want to see a leadership that promises something real, and they're willing to buck.
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck Andrew Cuomo.
And that's...
I don't like Democrats. They lose all the time because they don't actually do anything. I don't like Democrats, you understand? You have to re-earn my respect now. You guys don't do anything ever. So, like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, you have to earn my respect now. Like, I worked my whole life. Like, you guys didn't do anything. You just caused, like, you just lost. You lost my whole life. You lost to goddamn George Bush Jr. in goddamn 2000, so we got 9/11. You lost to goddamn... I mean, it's just insane. Like you lose all the time. Like, thank God for Obama, because at least he could win. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't a loser like most of the people that you push, Joe Biden and fucking Kamala and shit. He wasn't a loser.
For Mamdani, presuming he wins the general election, which I think he will, is that he has to go out and deliver. Because the way that he's gained trust with the electorate is that he's promised to do some very specific things. And now he has to pull those off. And I think he's going to get a lot of help from Brad Lander, who, as I understand it, is going to become the first deputy mayor and help him with implementing these policies. And if they kind of figure out a way to not only campaign in a way that attracts massive support, particularly from the young, but also to actually deliver on his promises, then...
Yeah, you guys have to actually do something now. You've been fucking us for 30 years and sending us to war and shit. You gotta actually, like, represent the public now, piece of shit politicians. You've done nothing my entire fucking life except start wars, you fucking shitheads. I can't stand you. You've done nothing my whole life. I can't, like, I guess, Obamacare. Congratulations on Obamacare. Do your fucking job and get something else. Sorry, Kitty, I didn't mean to wake you up. I know you're tired. I know you can go sleep soon. I know, I'm sorry I'm yelling. I'm sorry, I'll stop. See, you're good for me. You're gonna get me not yelling at these piece of shit backstabbing traitor Republicans as much, you know? Piece of shit fucking traitors. Swear to God.
For progressive governing.
Absolutely. And I think that's precisely what the mainstream outlets have been afraid of. It's not necessarily the failure of a Zoran leadership, the failures of socialism. It's actually the successes of, like, and I wouldn't even call... Right. Like, Zoran is a socialist, but I wouldn't call his platform a socialist one. I think it's, like, very modest social democratic reforms that he's pushing.
I mean, you know what's funny? If you go to Erie, Kansas, a little town in Kansas, population about 800 or 900, you'd find a public grocery store. If you go to Akron, Ohio, you'd find free bus service. If you go to North Dakota, you'd find a public bank and a ban on non-compete agreements, which was also part of his platform. You could go all over Red America and find Zoran Mamdani's agenda in place.
No, absolutely. And they're treating it as though he wants to like kill all the billionaires and,
Right.
and you know push him into
Like-
the water and seize all of their assets by force. There's also the idea that there is going to be capital flight from New York, which has never happened and it will not happen. This notion that there's like tremendous capital flight whenever there's like a little bit of social democratic reforms or somewhat of an increase in taxes is also a silly one, especially considering how broadly popular this policy has been. The millionaires tax has been in Massachusetts, right? Like this is a
Right.
tremendously
In California.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a millionaire's tax here too that was put in place by the voters in 2010. Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly there are going to be efforts to try to make him fail. Many of those may be coming from the police department rather than, the billionaires. But I think the media is going to take a shot at this. We ran a piece on Friday from someone who worked in the office of Bill de Blasio. Now, de Blasio gets a bit of a bad rap, but he did put universal pre-K in place in New York City. And
Hells yeah! Universal pre-K! Universal pre-K is good though. That's good.
And he really got.
It's not Republicans killing us, at least, Like, yeah, like, worry about the kids. You guys are just worried about starting wars with other countries. You piece of shit Republican traitor, fucking foul, fucking violence-loving shitheads.
And, the piece that we ran was talking about those
Hi, Kitty, I'm
pitfalls
sorry.
and the things that
It's my job. I'm
Mamdani
sorry,
has
Kitty.
to look out for.
Absolutely. That is going to be a major issue. I mean, I remember
I'm gonna let you out soon.
the
I
Sergeant
promise.
Benevolence Association was tweeting about basically doing a death threat to Bill de Blasio at the time, and even ended up doxing his trans child. Like literally
There was a
straight
claim
up.
there was a claim that he turned his back on the police department in some funeral or something. I forget exactly what the setting was, but that was this. Basically, it was just an excuse for the Police Benevolence Association to just turn their back figuratively on de Blasio, and that became, a real big controversy in his first term.
Do you think that getting the backing of like attorneys general could potentially help at least like create a line of defense for someone like Zoran in this process? This is something that I've been thinking quite a bit about, and I feel like there have been a wave of some successful progressive prosecutors that are progressive DAs, for example, like Larry Krasner is the obvious perfect example of this, and then some unsuccessful ones as a consequence of immense pressure before they could actually implement any of these like progressive policies. But that has kind of like kept the city in check. Larry Krasner being the great example of this because like murder rates have gone down, and there was a lot of pressure to even. There was a lot of pressure to undemocratically unseat him. As a matter of fact, he withstood these attacks, and now it is seen as it can be held up as a tremendous success. Do you feel like a similar thing could happen as well in New York City?
I mean, potentially. I don't know if it's necessarily just Tish James's support, but the support of Lander and the support of Jerry Nadler and some other, sort of communicators that can just sort of offer testimony for Mamdani. I think really the fact that he essentially created his own media in this campaign, that he went around that filter and was able through more perfect union kind of videos and through relentless attempts to engage the public, really allowed people to get his views directly rather than having to get them filtered through the New York Post or the New York Times. So I think that's going to be a real help to him and something he's going to have to continue to do during his time should he win the office, because it's just too important. What we've learned now in the Trump era is that communicating in government is just as important as delivering. I mean, you not only have to act on your promises, but you have to let people know and make sure they know that those promises were kept and this is the benefit that you're getting. So he's set up well to do that in terms of his media architecture, and I hope he continues.
Yeah, I hope so as well. The Morena method is what they're calling it. the same thing that AMLO did, the same thing that Claudia Sheinbaum is also continuing, is not only do you have good policies, but you also have basically created your own funnel, your own faucet of information that people can get directly from you without any sort of like dilution from the message. And it's something that we've seen quite a bit even in the past couple of days. Like after this unprecedented victory, it does seem like a lot of even mainstream liberal adjacent outlets are seemingly more predisposed with attacking Zoran, talking about anti-Semitism, sometimes viciously smearing him, as Kirsten Gillibrand did, saying he wants to implement a global jihad on Jews.
Right.
Or Eric Swalwell saying he doesn't agree with Zoran Mamdani's statements on Jews, which Zoran Mamdani has never said a single anti-Semitic thing at all. And just like this implication that he is somehow anti-Semitic, which I think is just racist, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
Maybe I'm a little biased, 33-year-old socialist Muslim political commentator myself, but it is there is.
It's hard not to come to that conclusion, though. As a older than 33-year-old Jew, it's hard to not come to that conclusion. It's definitely been really disgusting. And the other thing that's amazing about it is, and maybe this is a segue to what we're going to talk about, but we have this bill on the floor that is going to, cut taxes for billionaires and take food and medical assistance away from the most vulnerable people on earth. And we have to pivot and talk only about.
Oh, look, gas stations right down the road.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Look, right next to Harbor is gas station. Now, I might be lost, though. But look, I can go get a milk. Oh, no, I got a motorcycle. That's even better. Do I have fuel? I have enough to move around. Yeah. Oh, not good. Whoa, these guys are faster now. Whoa. Get the nails. But where is this? It's like right down the road from my house. That's not bad. I like jungle because it's like even harder. Oh, I'm dehydrated now. Yeah, maybe there's some water in the what's that sound? Oh god. Am I aggroed? I am, but where's the zombies?
The Hakeem Jeffries of the world and people like that, instead of pivoting in that conversation and saying, look, I think I want to talk about the Republicans and the fact that they're taking away all these benefits from people, they have spent this critical moment, because the bill's going to pass, if it passes, in the next few days.
Yeah.
They've spent this critical time smearing Zoran Mamdani for alleged acts of anti-Semitism. It's really incredible.
Yeah, especially at a time when, like, clearly positioning yourself against Israel immediately invites, like, anti-Semitism smears, and I think it's happening. It's always happened that way, obviously, but now the public is broadly aware of that as well. But the public also, especially within the Democratic Party's base, is insanely anti-Israel. You have 80% numbers now, like numbers previously unimaginable.
I don't really see the difference between the goddamn Republican Party and the fucking Nazis. They hate Jews just as much. You guys are currently like fucking like, it's weird because you back Israel in their weird Republican pushes to bomb Iran, but you don't actually like Jews in the Republican Party. It's weird. You don't like anybody who isn't white.
Towards what Israel is doing, and it's obviously well-deserved animosity towards Israel.
I mean, the funny thing is that Andrew Cuomo essentially made this a centerpiece of his campaign. He is the one that brought these things up in debates, in ads.
Andrew Cuomo's a good
and
guy.
It failed among the electorate. So we don't have to guess how these attacks will go. They have fallen flat among the Democratic electorate in New York City. And that is a really important thing to internalize if you are a Democratic candidate who thinks they can get credit or get money for smearing people in this fashion.
Yeah, that's what's something that I noticed as well, was that I thought, I didn't like speak on this too much at the time, but like I thought that their constant attacks on anti-Semitism, on like suspected anti-Semitism due to his like popular position on Israel, actually took up so much time and space away from other lines of attack that may have been more successful.
Right.
The usual bread and butter, like, oh, this guy wants to break the city, you know, this guy wants to ruin the finances of New York, or I mean, who knows if that would have been successful as well, because it seems like Zoran had a tremendous door-knocking operation, 50,000 campaign volunteers. Like, this is, you know, this is...
And we were on the ground. We had people at the Prospect who walked around with canvassers who were out at the polling locations that week, and you can feel the energy. And I agree that they had many choices for lines of attack. One of them being that Kathy Hochul, the governor, probably isn't going to raise taxes to give New York City the kind of funding that they would need to implement some of the policies. Not all of them need that funding, but that would have been a decent line of attack. I mean, it's actually has the benefit of being kind of true. And I think Mamdani is going to have trouble. He's going to have to mobilize his base to make sure he gets that funding. And that's going to be a big fight for him. But the point is that instead of doing that, instead of saying that, they went down this road that the donor base really wanted, and it failed. And, you know, now they're trying, you know, the funny thing was the day after the election, there was this big meeting of the business elite in New York City. They said to discuss the Zoran situation.
Oh my God.
That was the name of it. So they've gone back from
the Zoran situation.
Eric Adams to, Cuomo still has a ballot line. Maybe we can get behind.
Oh no, our fascism machine is being interrupted by good people. Oh no, how are we going to oppress the people of color if there's somebody in the Democratic side who's a people of color? Like, oh my God, the Zoran situation or whatever. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, do you mean like, oh, our fascism is slowly falling? Oh no. How did you kill me? You were not on top of me. You spawned on me. I had one spawn on me. That guy spawned on me. What the fuck was that? Oh my God. You're okay, kitty. Soon, kitty. Soon, kitty. Are you hungry? You want some food? Dinner? Yeah, you want some food? Yeah, you want some food? Hey, smell. Come here. Here you go. You hungry? Yeah, eat. Eat, kitty. Food will fix it. No? Okay. I'm not letting you out for another hour. I'm sorry. You're gonna go wake up my mom. I know what you want to do. I'm not dumb. You guys think that my mom's gonna solve all the problems. She can't. She can't do that if she's sleeping. She's not going to solve all your problems. How did I die here? Because you spawned something on me, you piece of shit-ass developer. I don't care if you're a mod developer or the Rust developer. I don't care. Some developer was a piece of shit and spawned a mob on top of me. I don't care if it's mod. I don't care if it's Rust. Some piece of shit ass developer fucking spawned a mob on me. What the fuck's wrong with you? Fuck you. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Kitty. I'm sorry. Oh, calm down. And she's like, are you cussing the developer again? I am. I'm cussing the developers as they waste my time. Goddamn piece of shit cocksuckers. Sorry.
Maybe we'll find somebody else. I don't know who that would be. Maybe Bill Ackman or somebody. They are just flailing right now in New York City because they know that this agenda is very popular. And the way that Mamdani took the way he waged the campaign, laser focused on affordability, on making New York a better place to live, is extremely popular.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to the big, beautiful bill, which I'll admit I haven't hyper focused on too much either. Passed in the House of Representatives, made its way to the Senate. There was a big will they, won't they situation, even though it was obviously smoke and mirrors. And now it is going through a vote-a-rama.
Yeah.
As the Senate Republicans are trying to get the Trump tax cuts over the line, despite this party division, which I don't think is much of a party division. For the chatters that might not know, could you explain what the process is for this bill to pass? Because it's a little bit unique, right? Because this is not a regular bill.
Yeah, so what we know is that when you're talking about the U.S. Senate, virtually everything
Stop bumping the camera, Kitty.
legislatively
Stop it.
that passes needs 60 votes. And the reason is that any senator can essentially call what is known as a filibuster. It really isn't that anymore because you don't go down to the Senate and talk your ear off. But they call it the filibuster. And the point is that in order to end debate on any bill in the Senate, you need 60 votes. And that makes it a problem for the majority party to get their agenda passed. However, there is sort of this one exception to that rule. And the exception is a process known as budget reconciliation. And it came out of the 1970s, and it was initially conceived to reduce the deficit. But now it's been used basically as this is the one bill a year that we don't need to listen to the minority party, and we can pass this with a majority. And so as soon as Donald Trump got into power and the House and the Senate went by way of the Republicans, they started thinking about, okay, what can we do with this reconciliation process? And can we come up with a bill that can get all of the agenda? We'll stuff all of the agenda into one bill and then pass that. And that'll be our bill for the year, essentially, because we don't have to listen to Democrats. We don't need the votes of Democrats in order to pass it.
And the Democrats have used this technique as well.
Right. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 was a reconciliation bill. The American Rescue Plan of 2021 was a reconciliation bill. Obamacare, in part, was a reconciliation bill. At the very end, they used reconciliation to do some final tweaks to it. So, yes, it's used by both parties. And it's stupid. I mean, the fact is that we should get rid of the filibuster anyway. Elections should have consequences, and you should have a majority vote for your agenda. But instead, it gets rammed into this reconciliation process. And the rule behind this is that because it's a budget process, everything has to have a budgetary purpose. So you couldn't legalize abortion in a reconciliation bill. You couldn't change voting rights laws in a reconciliation bill. There are various other things that would be out of order in a reconciliation bill. But if it's budgetary, if it's taxes and spending, you can do it.
Well, there are limitations to what is considered.
That's right.
Yeah, and
the rule specifically says you have to have a primary budgetary purpose.
Yeah.
So if you're putting numbers to something, but it's really about a policy, that often gets thrown out.
Well, and then there's also other instances where, in my estimation, and I'm no big city lawyer, but it directly does impact the budget, but the Senate parliamentarian decides that it's not it should not be a part of the budget reconciliation, like the $15 minimum wage, which absolutely, I think, by all estimations, would be considered having an impact on the budget.
It was a terrible decision, and that's when you get into this sort of metaphysics of what is a budget bill and what is not budgetary. and what has a primary budget purpose and what doesn't. And these things, as you alluded to, are taken up by the parliamentarian, who is an unelected clerk that works for the Senate, that is sort of the judge and jury of these various rules. What happens is one party files their reconciliation bill, the other party says, hey, I'm raising a point of order, that is not budgetary. And then they have a debate, and then the parliamentarian makes a ruling. And this has happened dozens of times throughout the course of this process. And many things have actually been kicked out. But should our democracy be down to the sort of whim of an unelected bureaucrat within the Senate of deciding whether or not we're allowed to get a wage increase, or whether or not we're allowed to get this or that or the other.
And I'm sure you can see the thing that I'm sharing with you, my screen right now. In the past, and I talked about this quite extensively, the Senate parliamentarian has been fired and reappointed to reappointed on the basis of whether or not they would play ball with the agenda of the leadership. Dick Cheney did this. Yeah, Dick Cheney did this, exactly. Right. But, of course, Joe Biden didn't do this with a $15 minimum wage. And now that the Senate parliamentarian seemingly is cutting through a lot of this noise that the Republicans are trying to advance in this massive, massive wealth transfer, Donald Trump is saying, great Congressman Greg Stube is 100% correct. An unelected Senate staffer parliamentarian should not be allowed to hurt the Republicans' bill. Wants many fantastic things out. No, DJT. He says.
Now, it should be said the Senate hasn't listened to him on that. They have abided by the parliamentarians' rulings, but then what happens is you get into this bargaining process, this negotiating process. We're like, okay, you kick this out, but what if we tweak the language a little bit and do this? Is that okay? And then there's a back and forth, and then maybe the parliamentarian agrees with it. And that has happened on a few very key parts of this bill. And other things, the Senate has just said, okay, I guess we can't do that, and we'll throw it out. But on one very key part, the Senate has ignored the parliamentarian. And that has to do, and we're going to get just way too wonky right now, Hassan, I apologize. It's something called the current policy baseline. And it sounds stupid and not important, but it's why this bill is done. It's very important. Here's what it means. The Trump tax cuts for individuals expire in the end of this year. And one big thing that this bill does is extend the Trump tax cuts and makes them permanent. And the way it makes them permanent is it extends them for 10 years, and then there's an assumed permanence. So you would think, if you're a normal person, that would cost some money. It's not the law now, but if you make it the law for 10 years to pass the Trump tax cuts, that is a major tax cut from where it would otherwise be under current law, because otherwise it would go back to the Obama tax cut, the Obama tax levels, right? So the difference between the Obama tax levels and the Trump tax levels over 10 years is $3.8 trillion, right? Yeah. So what Senate Republicans have said is that, well, but this is just the current policy. We're under the Trump tax levels right now, so extending them doesn't cost any money because it's just the same policy extended through. And that is how they took a magic wand and made $3.8 trillion disappear. And so a bill that the Congressional Budget Office says will cost $3.3 trillion, according to Senate Republicans, they say it actually saves $500 billion.
Yeah, and this is the most consequential. This is the most consequential part of the bill anyway. This is the main thing.
That's right. And under budget reconciliation rules, if they were to count that Trump tax cut extension under a current law baseline, it would not be able. They would not be able to use this bill for budget reconciliation because it would be too expensive for a variety of different reasons that aren't very important. But the point is that using this gimmick, this current policy baseline gimmick, is the only way they can get this bill passed and make the Trump tax cuts permanent.
Yeah. Once again, proving the point that Republicans and no one really, maybe some Democrats, with the exception of some Democrats, no one actually cares about the deficit, especially when it comes to tax cuts for the wealthy. They actually don't care about the deficit at all.
And also, nobody cares about process. Like all the things I've just told you about, you're not going to run a campaign on this.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. It's one side plays hardball when they have power to get done what they want to get done and work the rules to their advantage. And the other side says, oh, well, the parliamentarian said we can't raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I guess we can.
So by your estimation, especially as someone who wrote, I would say, the most comprehensive blueprint for what the Democrats should have done in the first 100 days of Joe Biden's administration, using pre-existing rules, as a matter of fact, a very pragmatic solution to implement
using
Biden's
pre-existing
agenda.
laws.
Yeah, using pre-existing laws. Do you feel like this was a matter of Democrats not having the willingness to actually follow through on their agenda, on what they had promised in the campaign, more so than the counter narratives that they implemented, which was it's simply too hard?
I mean, they followed through on some of it. They certainly didn't do everything that we recommended or that I would have wanted them to do. Some of the things they were stymied by the courts, which is now playing this big game of Calvin ball, where if a Democrat does something, it's okay, but it's not okay. But if a Republican does something, oh, we got to get rid of these nationwide injunctions on Trump policies. So, we're up against it with the courts. We're up against it with some other things. But could there have been more creativity under Biden to get done things that would have had tangible benefits for the American people and to get those benefits in place when he was in office? Absolutely. And I think that's one of the lessons that at least some people are learning about what to do should Democrats ever get into power again.
Yeah, I mean, they are creating a robust infrastructure to implement a lot of policies, a lot of progressive policies that the people want, especially if you had like a broad popular mandate. If you were to run like a real populist campaign,
Sure.
And we saw a smaller version of that with Zohran Mamdani. It seems like they would have all of the opportunity as long as they had the motivation to implement said agendas. Now that there are no nationwide injunctions and the lower court system is effectively powerless against it, what are they going to do? Launch class action lawsuits everywhere?
They're going to have to, and they're starting. They're actually starting to launch class action lawsuits. But I want to say something on Medicare for All. Like, if you think about the creativity here, right? So what Republicans did is said, as long as something is in law, if we permanently extend it, it doesn't cost any money. And that helps us, be able to pass it. So in 2029, what if Democrats pass the Medicare for All for 1 week act?
Yeah.
Right? So it costs, whatever it costs to do Medicare for All for a week. And then they pass a reconciliation bill that says, oh, well, Medicare for All is policy this week. So under a current policy baseline, we can make that permanent and it's free. That's the level of what Republicans are doing here. And as long as that's the rule now, that's the precedent that has been set, I don't see why you shouldn't just keep using it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's zero. It's not. It's already pre-existing law. We can make it permanent.
Right, for free.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I don't think that there is enough interest, enough appetite in the
Butthole.
This would mean a dramatic
legal butthole
Democratic Party.
But here's can we talk about some of the things in the bill though?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, let's get into some of the meat and potatoes of this.
Okay, I'll be right back, guys. Gotta pee. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, I'm not going outside though. Sorry. Nope. Not for another hour. Relax, kitty, please. I'm on camera with a microphone. I can't have you howling all day. Please. Please, kitty. You didn't want your food? Oh, did you eat? Yeah, you did. Good kitty. I know you're unhappy. One more hour, sissy. One more hour. I'm sorry. Soon. Soon, sissy.
Big booty bill that Donald Trump is trying to ram through in a process not dissimilar to 2017 as well. Like, very long, convoluted bill, major tax cuts, and
here's the difference, though. The difference between 2017 and now. The 2017 tax bill, I believe it's called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act,
yeah,
did not have any spending cuts. They basically said, we're going to cut taxes and we're not going to pay for it. We're not going to do any social welfare cutbacks in that bill. But this bill has all the tax cuts. It also has all the populist tax cuts that Trump talked about on the campaign trail, like no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, and things like that. But it also has the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. It has the largest cut to food stamps in American history. It changes student loans to make them far more expensive than they are right now. So it really hinders your ability to get an education with a loan. And it rolls back all of the clean energy investments that were done under Biden to such a degree that we can expect much higher electricity rates and probably rolling blackouts because we won't be able to keep up with demand, especially with AI data centers and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, if that weren't all enough, there are massive increases to the budget of ICE in this bill that really haven't been talked about a lot. It's 13 times the increase of the annual budget of ICE is in this bill.
Terrifying.
To do detentions and to do
Hi, kitty.
all kinds of policing. So if you, I know you're in LA, I'm in LA, I was down at the protest, so were you. If you want what's happening in LA right now with kidnappings on the streets, people basically racially profiled to be determined by masked gunmen who throw people into vans that they happen to be undocumented, whether they are or not. If you think that that was a good thing, it's coming to your town because they're going to have much more money to do that. And then even on top of that, there is another $150 billion increase for the military in this bill. This is a military that has $1 trillion budget, right?
Yeah.
Every year, like clockwork. And for all the arms that are going to other countries, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Israel, they get another $150 billion in this bill.
Is it true that this bill establishes ICE as the single largest internal policing entity in the United States? Like, if implemented? That's
not even close by a wide margin.
Yeah.
Scroll down. Look, there's an actual graph there.
Okay,
That's how much bigger.
David, this is Gestapo, right? Like, they are unaccountable. There are already, according like what the ACLU calls constitution-free zones that, like Customs and Border Patrol and ICE is supposed to operate in without any sort of interest in receiving a warrant.
Okay, come here, kitty. Come here, kitty. We're gonna fix it. Yeah, we're gonna fix it. I'm gonna get you. Okay, your feet feel better, huh? Okay, so hold on for just a second. I'm gonna cut your other nail. Good kitty. Now hold on. There you go. Good kitty. Yeah, I'm cutting your nails. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I cut your nails. Look at the cool. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Terrible ass software developers completely shut off my camera. I'm sorry. Sorry. And hardware developers. They produced a camera that constantly disconnects. I believe that Logitech should be sued for that. I'm sorry, but I believe that there's a lot of corporate malfeasance. But I believe Logitech should be sued because constantly my webcam constantly disconnects. And I believe Logitech should not be a legal entity anymore because they release fraudulent, theft-based hardware that disconnects all the time when I joggle my fucking cord. And there it is. See it? There it is. And I believe the Logitech should not be a legal entity any longer. I believe they should be sued, fucked, and that money should be given to kids, and that they shouldn't have a business any longer because they release goddamn pieces of hardware that are faulty. And I believe that they shouldn't be an entity any longer. And that's what I mean about Logitech. I love Logitech, and everything I buy is Logitech, but I still believe them to be a criminal enterprise who should be sued and disbanded. A class action lawsuit for all the webcams that when you jostle the cord, they disconnect. And by jostle, I mean I barely touched it. I brushed the cord. I'm terribly sorry. And this is because... Yeah. You're a hardware dealer, and it sucks, and my cord sucks, and it's disconnecting constantly. When I touch it briefly, it disconnects. But I believe that to be theft, and I believe that you shouldn't have gone live like that, and it should be against the law, and I don't think you should have a company or any money anymore. All the stuff that you did to druggies, all that stuff. The left is about to take over the fucking world, and you're about to see all that shit that you did to druggies, like imprison us for fucking drugs. I'm about to do to corpos. Corpos are about to go to jail their whole lives for fucking releasing a Logitech piece of hardware that disconnects when I briefly touch the cord. I'm scared to do it. If I even touch the cord, it disconnects. And I believe that is theft at a massive scale. And I believe that the owner and proprietor of Logitech should be in jail for life because they committed fraud against millions of people. Is that weird? It's only fair. That's what you did to me for doing drugs. So that's what I want to do to you corpos. You think I'm kidding? No, I want to see the Logitech CEO in jail for life because they fuck millions of people and don't care.
Before doing search and seizure and direct accident that this administration is using a warrant before doing search and seizure and direct violation of the U.S. Constitution. And on top of that, it's not an accident that this administration is using the remigration or deportation or like immigration enforcement as a primary vehicle to push their agenda. And I don't think a lot of Americans understand this reality. They think it's just like a real problem, which wasn't a real problem at all. The idea that like immigrants constitute a national security threat, that's bullshit.
Immigrants do not okay, you know what constitutes a goddamn national security threat? DJT.
Completely made up, and the Democrats actually went along with that at a time when
fuck the Democrats. Like, I consider you the enemy. If you ever back this border, if you ever back World War II, if you ever backed Vietnam, if you ever backed Afghanistan, I don't believe you should be in American leadership.
Messaging against that every single day under the Biden administration. And now this not real problem requires a very real solution to it. And basically they're using, they're violating the First Amendment, for example, with the unlawful detention and kidnapping of Mahmoud Khalil and Mohsen Mahdawi and numerous others. They're basically using this as a catch-all solution.
I'm on with you, but there's a press conference happening right now in downtown Los Angeles about a woman who was a community organizer with the Alliance for Californians Community Empowerment. And she was abducted, taken off the streets at a Jack in the Box parking lot. She was taken to the border where the border said, "We thought that you had agreed to leave the country." She said, "No, I haven't agreed to that." Then the same unmarked van and masked officials took her to a warehouse of unknown
Sissy,
location,
please be quiet.
somewhere in Southern California. She believes that these people are not ICE, but they are bounty hunters who have been trying to capture people and take them to the border in an attempt to be sort of a secret paramilitary force that is doing the bidding of, the kinds of things that you're hearing about, the kinds of things that I've talked to people about, people who have been abducted from car washes and Home Depots all over Southern California. It's absolutely chilling, and it's reminiscent of South American countries under military juntas.
Yeah, no, this is like Argentina, like disappearances in
100%.
Chile. We are implementing shock doctrine to ourselves, And I mean, we already did a version of this in a more limited capacity post 9/11, which is ironic because it is the one function of the DHS that we are now completely using to its maximalist needs. And it is very clear that they are using this as an opportunity, like the remigration.
I know you're annoyed. I'm sorry.
The denaturalization process, which
soon.
will probably also
soon,
come
kitty,
down the line,
soon.
as the DOJ has announced its plans to prioritize cases to revoke citizenship now.
Yes.
This is exactly the same method that the Nazis used. A lot of people don't understand the historical relevance of basically revoking the citizenship of certain individuals. The very fact that we've kept immigrants in this limbo where without processing them adequately while keeping them in constant check with ICE year over year, because like those are the people that they're going after right now, people that ICE knows exactly where they live, exactly where they work, the people that are authorized to work on U.S. soil, because without the complete documentation and naturalization, that already was inhumane in and of itself, and now we're using that as an opportunity to make a political statement. This administration is using the people that are playing ball with the existing legal systems in an effort to contribute to American society, to contribute to commerce. We're using them as pawns in this. It's a very violent game that we're playing.
And all of these things would be bolstered 10 times, 15 times if this bill passes. And there's a lot going on right now, from protests to the situation happening with Iran, and obviously the ongoing terror and carnage in Gaza. And, you know, and even Zohran Mamdani's great win. But this bill, I'm sort of making the pitch for people to get involved and understand that this bill would do just massive harm because...
Okay, I'm going to let her go. I feel like I'm being cruel. I'm going to let her go. I'm sorry, Kitty. I just don't want you waking up my mother. Please don't wake up my mother. You understand? Don't wake up my mom. Don't wake up my mom. Don't wake up my mom. Don't do it. I love you. Bye. Sorry, guys. I got a new cat. And she's quite a hassle, and I realize that the meowing is annoying, and she's going through a period of transition right now because my stepfather died last Sunday, and it's Wednesday, and it's been 4 days, and she's going through a period of transition, and she's upset, and she's unhappy, and she knows that she's lost her master, and she's going through a hard time. So we take care of her, you know, just like my mother. We take care of her.
You know, we talk about ICE, and obviously that's terrible, and we talk about the tax cuts, which would, you know, expand inequality even more. The Medicaid cuts in this bill would probably lead to the closure of hundreds of hospitals across the United States.
In rural areas. In areas that are already underserved.
But just to be clear, when you close a hospital in a rural area, it affects all the other hospitals around there, because that's where those patients are going to go. And you're going to increase crowding, and you're going to strain the finances, because a lot of that care is going to be uncompensated. The projection is that 12 million people will lose Medicaid coverage as a result of this bill. Most of those people are very poor and have no other option in terms of medical coverage. They can't buy insurance on the open market. They don't have the money. So you're going to get much more uncompensated care, and that's going to strain more hospitals who will not be able to afford that. And this is I've been told that this is like a hospital apocalypse that you're going to see. And that's just that part of it. Then you go to the food stamp part and cutting the budget of food stamps. And a lot of the ways that these cuts are done is through adding paperwork requirements to people who want to sign up. So there's this thing called work requirements, and that's in Medicaid and also in the food stamp part, the SNAP part, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. It's basically a way to trip people up with paperwork. A lot of the people on Medicaid and on SNAP are working, but there will be consistent and insistent ways of saying, hey, you didn't fill the form in that you were supposed to every 6 months, and so now we're going to kick you off the program. It's just a way to trip people up with bureaucracy. And if you do that with the SNAP program, you're going to see food banks absolutely inundated because, where are people going to go if they don't get their benefits from the government? They're going to go to food pantries, they're going to go to food banks. And this could be the collapse of the food bank system in the United States, which is sadly enough very important to keeping people fed in this country. So you just go down the line with this bill, and you're essentially taking food and medicine and all sorts of other things away from the most vulnerable people in order to give billionaires tax cuts and to give the private and public Gestapo of this country the ability to wage more terror throughout the population.
Yeah. One of the classic things that they do, as you mentioned, is jamming people up with paperwork. Obviously, we saw a version of this in Florida during COVID, where they had like the websites purposely designed to break when there was when there were too many people that were
unemployment.
Yeah, that was for unemployment. Exactly. Yeah. And like they design these things in a way where it's supposed to break so that people don't have access to these life-saving funds. And
they actually did briefly work requirements for Medicaid in Arkansas, and this was in 2018 and 2019. Sorry about that. And what happened was, you can look at the statistics back. What I believe there was a court case that blocked this for a while. So we only have this history of 2018 and 2019 with Arkansas and work requirements. And what we see is that hundreds of thousands of people in Arkansas lost coverage, and it did not increase work in any meaningful way at all. Yeah, so this is not about work.
Didn't they also do voluntary work too? Because they couldn't figure out, there was another provision where it was like you could do like charity service or something as well.
Right.
Yeah, yes, and it just like failed. It was a completely failed initiative where
there it is.
Yeah, the Medicaid work reporting requirements was a failure of a model. And seemingly
and now we're going to export it to the whole country.
Yeah, we've nationalized it now, which is incredible, so that rich people can get a tax cut. It's a massive wealth transfer. Going back to the communication strategy here, though, the Democratic Party, unfortunately, has a crisis in communicators when some of the more prominent figures are Cory Booker, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer. These are unimaginably unimpressive individuals, devoid of all charisma. I think Cory Booker could have been a charismatic individual. I think like when he was more so like a state figure, there was an opportunity there. But very clearly, he's become this like establishment Democrat lackey, and seemingly.
I mean, from on a charisma scale, he's probably one of the good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
About the Democratic Party, relatively speaking.
Exactly, which is why they hail him as this like champion of social media internally, which is hilarious. But.
Right.
But like, shouldn't this be the primary focus of the Democrats right now? Like,
100%.
Immediately defending Zoran as a future of the party and the direction that the party should be going to, and also simultaneously using every waking moment to talk about how unimaginably cruel this tax proposal is.
It is. It is that moment, but because of our fractured media system and because of what you just outlined in terms of Democrats' inability to seize the narrative, we have a situation. I just saw a poll that showed they asked people if they've heard of the One Big Beautiful Bill, and only 48% did. And they asked people if they knew about the Medicaid cut, and only about 8%.
Yeah.
And so this is the problem. It's a messaging problem. When a wonky thing is happening in Congress with budget reconciliation and vote-a-rama and just all of these terms that nobody has ever heard of or knows about, it's hard to get people super fired up. But this is going to have an impact on every American. And it's not a done deal. That's one thing that's important here. So the Senate is doing amendments right now. They're going to get to the end of that process probably late tonight or early tomorrow. And, we'll see, because there are still some votes up in the air. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, but past experience shows those guys are going to cave and they're going to vote for the bill, right? However, when this goes back to the House, because the House version and the Senate version are different, the House gets another crack at it. There is more deficit spending in the Senate version. There are deeper Medicaid cuts in the Senate version, and both of those are negatively seen by different constituencies among House Republicans. The Freedom Caucus sees this as more red ink, as more deficits, and they're very much opposed to that. The moderates, the handful of moderates. Thank God
for the Tea Party once again.
Thank God for the Tea Party, yeah. The handful of moderates in the Republican caucus see those Medicaid cuts as absolutely devastating. And a couple of them, enough of them to make it interesting, have said they're not going to vote for the bill. So there is still a possibility that the House doesn't end up passing this, or maybe they change it and then they ping pong it back to the Senate. And we keep going back and forth for a while. And the reason they want to pass this quickly is because they're happy that only half the public knows what's in it.
Yeah.
They don't want more people to know what's going on with this bill. They want to get this done at lightning speed so that it doesn't collapse under its own weight. And so that's why it's so important to get the word out here.
Yeah, we have a tremendously effective method of undermining the priorities of a bill that is supposed to be overwhelmingly popular, that got jammed up in Congress and was endlessly lied about. That is the ACA, Obamacare.
Right.
And the longer that process takes, the worse it gets for the administration to defend it, because more people catch wind of it. However, that only happens if the opposition party is willing and able to stand 10 toes down and talk about all of the tremendously unpopular parts of this this bill. And
I think it's able more than willing. I mean, Democrats have been talking about this, and for those who have heard about this bill, they hate it.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the more unpopular bills in American history for those who have heard about it. We just need more people to hear about it, and I think there's an inability on the part of the Democrats to have a messaging system that reaches most people. This is the problem.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I do truly think that it's not just about like the lack of platforms, but it is also the lack of interest from the Democrats in like communicating how devastating this is. Because like,
I mean, one thing I'll say in their, I don't want to be defending the Democrats right now, but one thing I'll say is that they could have taken on this bill in a different way. They could have talked about it as increasing the deficit, like who gives a shit. They really are talking about it saying this cuts Medicaid and food stamps so that it can give money to billionaires. Like they have gotten that down. And when people hear that, they're against it. So then you ask, are they being insistent enough? Are they talking about it enough? Are they not preempting their own messages by smearing Zohran Mamdani? There are definitely things they could be doing a hell of a lot better. But it is interesting that their core message is a little more populist than one.
Yeah. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on. Before I let you go, I do have some questions about, and I don't know if you're interested in talking about this, but I do have some questions about the Supreme Court decision. Do you want to let your thoughts be known on that? As you know, the Supreme Court came down with a couple decisions. We briefly alluded to one. Obviously, there's the coalition of like religious families that are functionally breaking the core curriculum by saying that if there's any sort of like queer character or anything in the core curriculum, then you can't have that. But other than that, there's a Supreme Court decision that came down that made it so that lower court injunctions are no longer capable of stopping federal level decisions like national decisions that are done through executive order. It's significant because the court case that this decision came down on was a blatantly unconstitutional executive order that ended birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court didn't touch birthright citizenship, of course, in their decision, but simply said that the lower courts no longer have the power to do injunctions that stop national issues, something that the Republicans have used extensively under the Biden administration. Do you want to give us a little bit more detail on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So functionally, what this means is that in the next 30 days, the Trump administration is going to implement some policies to end birthright citizenship. At their discretion, they can say that someone who is born not to two native-born parents or something, some criteria, is not a citizen. And the real problem here, and we're going to have a story about this tomorrow, which is fascinating. How are they going to do this? So the way that it works now is every baby that is born gets a Social Security number. Every baby born in this country gets one at birth. It's called the enumeration at birth. And now with this order, it's not clear how one would get a Social Security number, whether they will stop the enumeration at birth program entirely, or whether there will be flags that will be put on this program. All of that is done out of the Social Security Administration. Now, what we know is that the Social Security Administration has been completely gutted, particularly their regional offices, which have lost staff in tremendous numbers. If you're going to have to go into a Social Security Administration office in order to get your child, your newborn child, a Social Security number, and you have to bring whatever documentation you have to bring, including maybe the birth certificates of the parents. I don't know what you would need to confirm that this is a legal child born in the United States and is a U.S. citizen. Think about, there are already huge backlogs at Social Security offices all over the country. Think about if you add every child born in the United States, and now you have to deal with that too there. It's going to be absolute chaos for the system. So that's the short-term version of this. The longer-term version is that there could be some Democrats that would be out there saying, no nationwide injunctions, sounds good to me. Student debt relief was stopped through a nationwide injunction. The ban on non-compete agreements that I alluded to before, which Lena Khan and the Federal Trade Commission did, was stopped by a nationwide injunction. So, there are certainly Democratic things that you could say, if you can't block those executive orders, maybe that's a good thing. However, there are other methods that it seems like plaintiffs can take to stop blatantly unconstitutional orders. And it's through class action lawsuits, like you mentioned that before. But the problem is they're slower and they're more deliberative, and you have to go through the entire court case to get the class certified and get a temporary injunction.
And what if the certification is not upheld by the Supreme Court as well? Because
that's right.
Yeah, there's that side of it too, where I think Clarence Thomas wrote something about this.
They did a whole lot of mucking with class action certifications and made them much harder to get in the lower courts. So it's going to be a lot harder, and more important, I think, is that in the interim, whatever that unconstitutional or sketchy executive order policy is, it can be implemented in the short term, and there's no real way to stop it. And we just talked about with birthright citizenship, the chaos that could cause. So I think that's the bigger problem here, is that now we're just going to have random unconstitutional things potentially that are just happening in the country, and you have to wait to see if they can be stopped in a timeline that could be months, if not years.
Yeah, and for people to understand, simply put, you can have a child born on U.S. soil right now in New Jersey, where I believe there is already a defense against this launched in the state of New Jersey, that is a full-blown American citizen in spite of the fact that one or neither of this child's parents are documented U.S. citizens. That child will get, I guess, some kind of American citizenship, right? Because we don't know. We literally don't know. Whereas, in a place like Texas, for example, the local state office could decide against that, and then that child born on U.S. soil is effectively stateless. This person will not have an estate.
It's unbelievable. And you're right. if there was a case in New Jersey that the the circumstances of that case are narrowed to the state of New Jersey, then you have different standards for birthright citizenship in New Jersey or Texas or Wyoming or wherever else. So it's a very unworkable system. And it's kind of like welcome to the Trump era.
I mean, this is Dred Scott, right? I mean, this is exactly
Yeah.
Because like one of the immediate problems that I can foresee is what happens when a child born in New Jersey to undocumented parents that is classified as an American citizen actually engages in interstate travel and goes through a state where they are not considered a citizen. Does that mean technically that the New Jersey law remains? Because obviously, in this,
what controls in that case?
Which one has a higher priority? And judging by the way that this administration is operated, it doesn't feel like they would abide by the New Jersey standard, and instead would nab people and declare them stateless and send them to a concentration camp.
And if you can't get nationwide injunction, you'd have to find a willing plaintiff and a willing judge in every state in the country in order to get a uniform standard, at least in the interim, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this rises up to the Supreme Court in 3 years and you finally get an answer on it. But that's just not going to happen. Like, there aren't enough judges who would be willing maybe to stop these kinds of things. You just, you're in Mississippi and you get the wrong judge, you draw the wrong judge and they say no. What are you going to do? That's the end of it. So, yeah, you're going to create these pockets of the country that have this unclear representation for what a couple, one of whom or both of whom are undocumented and has a child, what that child, where his citizenship lies, his or her.
Yeah, no, we're balkanizing the United States. We're fortunate enough to be in the PNW coalition here, where as long as we lock down Colorado, I think we are the bridge between Canada and Mexico.
Yup.
At least.
All hail Governor Kamala.
Come on, Colorado!
Yeah. We're the land bridge between Canada and Mexico, and like
people know it. People know. You want to know why Palantir's in Denver? Because Denver runs the entire West. Denver is the West. Denver is the West. It's not Los Angeles. It's Denver. Denver's in the middle of America, not Los Angeles. Denver is the fucking hub of the West. I believe Denver to be the greatest city in the fucking known world. And it's not just because I was born there. It's because it actually is. And it's unsullied. Pretty much unsullied. Well, I mean, Palantir and Peter Thiel moved there and attempted to start choking it now. But it was an unsullied city until 2004. So it's only been shut up by Republican piece of shit, right-wing theft artist, money men since 2004 when they raised the rent to $1,000, and then by 2014 it was $2,000, and by 2026 it flat out at like 1,940 or something like that. But like. Yeah, and Denver is the greatest city in the world. It is the hub of the known West. It is pretty much like the London of America. Denver is the London of America.
New American Union, I think.
It's not a good place to live anymore, but it was until the money men came there and started charging $2,000 for rent. It was the greatest place to live in the world because it had access to everything but a beach, right? Only California was better, but California was shut up by 76 or something like that. Denver remained strong until 2004 when all the money men and all the right wing and all the piece of shit fucking, grifters came and started charging $2,000 for rent. I don't know why, and we hope that they die. I don't know why, and I hope that they die. I don't know why, and we hope that they die. Hey, are you a landlord? Fuck you, piece of American shit! I hope you fucking die!
There you go.
North American Union. All right,
Well, secession talk to wrap this. Thanks.
David, thank you so much for coming on. This was wonderful. You are so knowledgeable and so insightful. Where can people find you?
You go to prospect.org. We're there every day. We're actually doing a
Prospect.org. Let's do it. Prospect.org. The American Prospect, Ideas, Politics, and Power. Let's do it. Let's do it. I like it. Yeah. The American Prospect, prospect.org. Fighting for a $20 minimum wage with or without Congress.
A pop-up newsletter on this bill, so you can sign up for the newsletter at prospect.org and you'll get all of our stories in your inbox about the big booty bill, the big beautiful bill, every single day until it's done, which could be this week, so you might not get many more, but we're going to be keeping on it. And I'm at former Twitter at DDayen, DDAYEN.
Hell yeah. Thanks a lot, David.
All right, thanks, man.
Bye. That was David Dayen of Prospect. Fantastic conversation. One of my favorite guests of all time. Endlessly knowledgeable.
Yeah, he was so good. He was so good. He fucking changed me. He changed me just by listening to him.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar, and
Thank you, some ordinary gamers, for excellent
Soap on
content. Soakum 2 on the PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, excuse me. PlayStation 2. Soakum was a good game. I played it. It had 256 player battles.
Now, you know, what is you would think that a 20-plus-year-old game probably has nobody playing
Soakum 2! Soakum 2! I played Soakum 2. Not a lot, but I played it.
online. And you're actually almost right about it. There's actually a community of like 20, 30 people that come together probably every night to play the super old PS2 game.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I decided to modify my PlayStation 2, change some settings around.
Hells yeah, and join them.
Good, fun night. And
Fuck
you know what,
yeah!
ladies and gentlemen, it's possible because this game isn't dead. I can't say that for
.com is such a good name. .com, right? .com is such a good name. I have to go put stuff away. So I need to move explosives and arrows. I need to move seeds, but I need room. I need to put my set away so I can move stuff around. So we'll put my... Oh my god, you dumped a bunch of stupid ass shit in my fucking set for some reason. This stuff needs to come down. What'd you do? Did you throw it out? You're so goddamn bad. No. I want to go in my set. Yeah, there we go. And then, I need lockpicks. Yep, all the rest of it is fine. I guess I'll just begin to sort. I guess I'll spend an entire day sorting. Yep, I'll just move it all down. I'll do 2 of each. Yeah, I'll do 762, 762, 762, high P, AP. So the ammo, this doesn't need to change, but this and this does. So we'll move the explosives and arrows first, but I have a bunch of dumb, stupid shit that I've got to get rid of. I don't know why I picked up. All those locks is no good. There we go. There we go. Why did you... Oh, yeah, because I dumped my entire set. Yeah, I did. I dumped my entire set. Now I can move stuff around. So we have a stack of 9mm AP.
Game that we played, but if you know me, game preservation is really important. And obviously, campaigns like Stop Killing Games are something I want to promote. Now, this is like the 3rd video very recently that I've talked about this. And if you're wondering why I'm super passionate, it's because I actually think Stop Killing Games can change the way gaming is preserved in the future. But I do want to make this video as sort of a video that shows you examples of games being preserved. I actually want to deconstruct a lot of Pirate Software's words and basically show why Stop Killing Games actually matters. And why we shouldn't give up on this initiative just because some people want to be contrarians. Now, if you go to stopkillinggames.com, you will notice that it has, as of right now, about 695,000 signatures, meaning that this initiative is climbing incredibly fast. By the time we're finished this video, we might even get closer to 70%. Who knows? I'll actually look back at this by the time we're signing off. Now, for anybody that, needs a quick rundown of what's been going on, obviously Ross from Accursed Farms made a video about a week ago where he talked about Stop Killing Games and how they were on the last leg of the initiative. In fact, right now, it is the last month for this initiative, meaning that we literally just have a month to get those signatures. Now, it doesn't matter if you get the 999,999 signatures, you need the full million. So a big question is, obviously, for anybody in my audience that's from the EU or the United Kingdom, there will be links in the description below that you can go to, which allow you to sign up and get those signatures. And again, only do this if you're from those areas. Please do not falsely fill out signatures if you don't actually belong in those areas. There's nothing more detrimental to this campaign than doing something like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, just remember, if you got friends and family, even if they don't play video games, this initiative actually goes far beyond video games and has the implications of doing way more.
Now, the reason why this initiative matters for all of us is that Europe represents around 15% of the world's GDP, meaning it's not an irrelevant economy. If something happens in Europe where game companies are effectively forced to give us end-of-life plans, they will have to effectively downstream this to the entire world. So whether you live in the United States, whether you live in Canada, whether you live in India, whether you live anywhere in the world, you will be benefited from European actions and regulations. Just understand that, again, if game companies, unless they're being deliberately malicious, when a game ends, you can play that game at its end of life. And even if it's locked to the European Union, nothing stops you from downloading the end of life build from Europe and using it anywhere else in the world. So we all benefit. Unfortunately, though, only the EU can sign.
So again, Ross from Recurse Farms made a video about a week ago where he talked about Stop Killing Games. They're on the end of this journey, and a big part of this video was talking about Pirate Software and his unfortunate negative attitude regarding this actual thing. Now, no one should sign an initiative or be part of something just because the blind majority say so. If this initiative has problems, it's good to point them out. My only problem with it is I feel like Pirate Software has done a lot of the negative contrarianism without actually giving cogent points on why he's been negative about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody that's...
I'm okay with him being against it if he's clear, but he was like, eat my ass, just like all the other Republicans. I need you to actually be clear why you don't like this.
Developer, but I am somebody that is a programmer. I know my way around code.
I'm okay if you're not cool with... I think there's a... I'm gonna weigh in on the Stop Killing Games thing. It's not that they're trying to kill games or that it's alarmist or that it's like kind of a call to arms or anything like that, right? But I don't like those things about it. It's trying to stop corporations from sunsetting things that they never ever plan to keep going. Now you're going to hear him struggle to say what I just said. But Pirate Software, and I'm sympathetic to Pirate Software because I understand where he comes from, is that, like laying some kind of crazy law about not being able to sunset your game and forcing MMOs to provide single player versions of those MMOs is not only illegal and immoral, but it's also fascist to force software developers to sunset their games in a particular manner. And while Pirate didn't say it more eloquently because he's overworked, he just said, eat my ass, eat my entire ass. I'll say it and I'm drunk and I'll say it better than him. We can't force software developers to do anything. And that's why he said, eat my entire ass. Now, he can't actually say, he understands it and I understand it. It's forcing software developers to do something. And he was immediately, and this is funny because I'm sure Pirate Software is about as conservative as it gets, but he was advocating for freedom because as a developer, you don't want to be forced to do anything. You shouldn't be forced to provide a single player version of 76. You shouldn't be forced to do anything. That requires you to do work just to get into the industry. And if he had verbalized it better, he might have done better. But instead, he just, because he's tired and overworked, because he's got kids pestering him all goddamn day, and he's tired and he's overworked like a fucking teacher at a pre-K. Right? He just said, eat my entire ass. I don't know how else to say it. And he didn't know how else to say it, so I'll say it for him. You can't force software developers to do anything. Just like you can't force Americans to do anything. Piece of shit conservative right-wing cocksuckers! You can't force Americans to do anything! You can't force software developers to do anything!
And honestly, the more I revisit a lot of Pirates...
Yeah, honestly, the more I revisit, I'm like, he might actually have a point. They are forcing software developers to do something. So, of course, he was like, eat my entire ass.
...words, the more I wonder, why are you so against something that is...
Because it's like this huge, crazy rule or law that is enacted against all software developers who might be lazy. They might be lazy and they might not be thinking about a sunset. They don't think about sunset. They're thinking about building games. You guys aren't thinking like these, like every time I say fuck the piece of shit Microsoft fucking software developers who fuck up me and my family and everybody that I know's lives, fuck them. I hope you get prosecuted, right? Out of the other side of my mouth, I will say, I love you for everything that you built. I love you for everything that you built. And I don't require you to plan on your death. I know what the problem is here, is software developers don't want to be forced contractually or morally to provide some sort of action to their planned obsolescence or death of their software or death of their front end or death of their program. So they don't want to be pushed around any more than anybody else does. And so stop killing games. You got to remember, there's an imperative in there. Stop killing games, right? It's like this order. Stop killing games. It's like this order. But we didn't do the thinking first, did we?
Entirely possible. So I wanted to make this video a set of examples.
Now, this is a man who I think will have the capability of seeing both sides of the issue, and so is Pirate. That's one of the things that makes them so famous. I hope to be a man as great as this man one day. But I mean, like, it's in the hands of the gods. I don't know. So I just hope to be this great one day, but I can see some ungreatness, which is somebody like Pirate Software saying eat my entire ass instead of talking about the delicate problems with this. You can't force software developers to preserve their own work. That'd be like saying every time Pepsi makes a bottle, and I'm gonna use an analogy that you heard first here on Skycatlive with 5 viewership, bitch. I'm better and stronger than these people. I swear to God I am, right? That would be like forcing Pepsi to fucking account for every single Pepsi bottle that ever existed. It's insane. Now, and I do see why Pirate fucking rebelled against it. Because Pirate might actually be a liberal deep at heart. You can't have software nerds telling software developers what to do. It's a fucking problem with my own argument when I say fuck the software developers, right? It's a problem. I can't tell them. They're people like everybody else. I can't tell them to stop shitting in our mouths. I can't do that. It's kind of a form of fascism. Telling them to stop killing games is a form of fascism, and it's weird, I'm sorry, but I see the freedom argument in it. If they want to sunset motherfucking the Crew, they can sunset the Crew. It's their fucking property. They can do that. I will advocate on both sides, but I will tell you that most of you guys are goddamn piece of shit morons who have not done the thinking. And I believe Pirate did. Pirate was immediately like, eat my ass. It took me a while. But here I am saying, yeah, I stand with Pirate saying, eat my ass, because when you order me to stop killing games, when you order me to sunset something in the form of I want Fallout 76 preserved, but I don't believe in the corpos that run Bethesda. So I believe they will kill one of my favorite things in the entire world. I think they're going to kill Fallout 76. But the problem is they made 76. You know, Nate Perkypile made 76. They fucked him and screwed him and scared him away. But I mean, just like Donald Trump, they fucked us and screwed us and scared us away, just like Donald Trump, just like what Bethesda did to Nate Perkypile. I can see it with the Republicans, right? And it's insane, but it doesn't matter. You can't tell Nate Perkypile what the fuck to do. He created Fallout 76. You can't tell him what to do. Bethesda couldn't do it. You can't tell these creators what to do with their thing. Now, that is the problem with Stop Killing Games, and I like Stop Killing Games. I would sign the initiative if I lived in Britain, and you guys are fucking morons. You need an international goddamn, like, you need an international fucking, petition. You need an international petition. You thought it was only Britons? Nah, motherfuckers, the entire goddamn video game culture at 3.5 billion people, you understand? I will advocate for them even though they treat me like garbage. I will advocate for Americans even though America treats me like garbage. It doesn't matter, they're still my beloved fellow human beings. And like, you can't tell a software developer what the fuck to do. I'm a little bit, I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit, I don't hate pirate software, but I can understand the fucking emotion of don't tell me what to do. I'm the developer. It's like if you're okay, I just released a song yesterday. Telling people to not kill the song is fascism. I hate saying it, but I mean, I made a song yesterday. I put it on YouTube. It's got 3 hits, you know. It's a worthless song. It means nothing. But I made a song yesterday. It's got 3 hits. Good job. But I made a song yesterday, and I don't want anybody telling me when this song dies. You can't see it because you've never been a creator. The gamers can't see it. They've never been a creator, but if you've created something, you understand why Pirate Software says eat my fucking ass, because it's like a form of fascism to tell me what to do with my video game. And no, I don't think Pirate's dumb. I just think Pirate's an asshole. I've always thought Pirate is an asshole. I think I've actually talked to him before, and I think he's an asshole. But is he wrong? No, he might not be that wrong. It's fucking crazy, but he might not be that wrong, because you can't tell developers what to do. You can't tell Americans what to do. Piece of shit, right-wing, backstab, traitor, cocksuckers. You can't tell Americans what to do any more than you can tell software developers what to do. Is he wrong? I don't care if he's wrong. You guys seem to really care if he's wrong, but the spirit of him telling you to eat his whole ass as he tells you not to tell him what to do, right? You're telling him what to do when you say stop killing games. It's the shitty side of that argument that you never considered. There's no please stop killing games. You would have done a lot better if you had said please stop killing games. But it says you put this imperative like it's a fascist order from Donald Trump or Hitler themselves, where it's like, stop killing games, motherfucker. They could kill games as software developers if they want to. They created them. Just like how I'm an American, I was born free, and I'll smoke drugs if I want to, whether or not you built your fucking prison industrial complex off the backs of your fucking fascist traitors. I'll smoke drugs if I fucking want to. The software developers will sunset their games if they want to. You can't tell them what to do. And I'll argue Pirate's fucking point far more intelligently than fucking Pirate Software. Fuck Pirate Software. Eat his entire ass. He invited you to. Eat his entire ass and cancel him.
A lot of projects that are centered around game preservation.
So I want to start off by saying that, yes, there are multiple types of games, right? And one of the things that obviously we don't need to really talk about are single-player things. So, for instance, playing games like Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, for instance, a game that is purely a single-player experience, as are many offline single-player experiences.
Tensei
Even if it's something from the PS2 era, you could literally be talking about a game right now. PlayStation 5, Death Stranding 2. Games are, again, offline only. Games that are single-player, fully on-disc titles, full experiences are obviously exempt from this discussion.
Shin Megami Tensei 3.
Original hardware that
Shin Megami Tensei 3.
exists. Primarily, the games that are being targeted here are games that are online only, with a single player attachment to them. So games like The Crew, which mostly could be played offline because that's a majority of its content, but arbitrarily require connection to Ubisoft servers, and once that connection is gone, as is the game, and as is the access for the game that you paid for, which gets removed from your library. Now, a lot of companies are completely okay with stuffing actual clauses in their user agreements which state that they can take your game away at any point, which we saw with games or, companies like Blizzard. Now, this is not okay. And again, I don't think that this would be a super huge issue, and where Thor would be right in this entire, initiative being wrong is if game companies had to actually even advertise that you weren't even buying a video game. You were just renting it all along. I seriously always go back to this example because imagine if you went on Steam and you wanted to buy a game like Helldivers 2, which is a live service game. Imagine if instead of the buy option, you just saw the words, "You're renting Helldivers 2," and at any moment it could be taken away. Could you imagine?
Yeah, this sucks, but ordering some software developers what to do about their games is fascist.
Impact of sales at that point.
I can't believe that I see a liberal side of Pyrus Software's argument, but that's what the fuck is. Pyrus Software said, "Eat my entire ass" the minute that you propose that he do something. I think I kind of understand it. I don't think the whole rest of the world understands it, but I do understand the rebel side of saying, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me."
If game companies were required to tell you that the game you were purchasing was just a rental. That's not what game companies do. Game companies will tell you that you're outright buying a game. And even if that game is an MMO or a single-player game with an online-only attachment, or it has a mixture of multiplayer, single-player, game companies can just take that away from you without any actual protection for the game, player. So we as gamers lose the history and memories of the games that we enjoy and love, and there's just nothing we can do about it. Game companies are totally okay with selling us, games that basically are just licenses. But I don't think the broader community really understands that what they have is just a license. If people knew that all they were buying were rentals, then I'm sure they probably wouldn't be buying a lot of games that they do. Imagine if every Blu-ray or DVD you purchased just said it's all a rental. At any moment, this movie can be revoked from you. Imagine if a piece of music that you bought could be revoked at any moment from your...
Yeah, it's called death. At any point, the pig fascist fuckdog traitors, Republicans, could come storming through my door and shoot me with a high-power rifle from across the street. I don't freak out about this. I'm not fear-based.
Possession. That's the same thing.
You guys are fear-based. What happens if I don't have Diablo 2 anymore? I don't know, but I don't fucking care. I don't live in a fear-based fucking life. I don't care about not having Diablo 2 anymore. You guys live in a fear-based life. I'm not saying don't preserve games. I'm saying you're really, really scared of losing 200 of your 40,000 games that got sunsetted just this year. It seems weird.
Games, and it's not okay. Now, to show you some of the actual...
It's not okay, no, you're right about that. It's not okay that they're... but you can't tell them what to do, either. You can't tell them to stop killing games. That's fascism. on this subject. And here's where I link IBM and the Holocaust. There, I said it. As sad as I am to report this, I've come to my conclusion on this subject. It's fascism to tell software developers what to do. Stop killing games is a direct order. It needed a please in front of it. Pyro Software is saying, eat my entire ass to stop killing games. That notion is stupid, and he knows you're stupid when you try to state it. It's that you didn't say please. You ordered software devs to do something. They do whatever they want, like IBM in the Holocaust. They have no laws. You can't tell them what to do. You must ask nicely in a way that doesn't cost them money they use to feed their kids or ferrets. If you didn't know, it's because social media blinded you. Sorry.
The footage you're seeing is Guns. Now, this is from a server called Freestyle Guns, which has around 100 people playing. Now, Guns, in my last video I talked about, used to be this big, like, MMO back in the day, or like this big, online shooter back in the days of IJJI. Now, since it's been officially defunct, and it has a, resurgence coming up, like they're about to re-release this game.
I can't believe they're about to re-release this game. Oh my god, Gunzy the Duel.
Play it right now through a private server, which is where I got this footage from. But let's say you want to play older games.
Look at these fucking 50-year-old boomers who suck dick at gaming and aren't playing Fortnite. They're so bad.
SOCOM 2 that actually had their online services completely shut down back in 2012.
Look at this autistic fucking combat. Fuck you guys.
A community called PS Rewired, you can actually go...
You guys in reality don't fuck with each other very often. You have a lot of money, so you make a break of reality. Like the band Break of Reality. And we all like Break of Reality. No, we don't.
An official piece of hardware, so whether you have a real PS2 or through an emulator, you can modify some network settings around and play these games as they once were. So this footage of SOCOM 2 was literally recorded a few days ago underneath actual PlayStation 2 emulation. And this works between real hardware and emulation. Now, even beyond just SOCOM 2, another game that I wanted to try out was Metal Gear Online 2. Now, I used to play this back in 2008, and obviously Konami has long since shut down the multiplayer services. In fact, you can't even get Metal Gear Online with newer copies of MGS4. So provided you have an old day one build, you can rip the online files out of it and use specialized software to actually play online. So for instance, I was able to download this from Save NGO2. I can make an account where there's about 50 people on average playing the game at any given moment, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a small but budding community. And over here, all you can do is download a customized RPCS3 emulator, or if you have a jailbroken and maybe even an official PS3, you can play this game as it, originally released. And it's quite a lot of fun. Even though the skill gap is pretty huge, like generally the people playing this game are those people that are just god-tier experts. But if you give it a chance, you can experience a bit of gaming history. But arguably when I was filming this video, one of the coolest things that I saw was something called Insignia Xbox Live. Now, for anybody that missed out on OG Xbox Live before the Xbox 360, this led me through a process where I legitimately set up a Xbox Live account. Now, Insignia is a private server solution where it serves to emulate actual Xbox Live. So this footage was recorded in XEMU, which was an actual emulator, and I downloaded it, got my official Xbox dashboard set up. I went through the entire sign-up process, and then just for shits and giggles, I loaded up Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2, a game well over 20 years old. And to my shock, there are still people actually playing this game at the dead of night or any hours. Immediately when I jumped in, I noticed some players. We had a friendly interaction. We said hi to each other. And within a matter of minutes, we were able to play this game together. A game this old that servers are long dead. The community has banded together to bring back old projects. Now, not every single project works 100%, and most of these really don't have every single feature working. But there are projects like The Matrix Online, which again is an incomplete project, but it allows gamers to play certain MMO builds of a game called The Matrix Online from, I think it was Sony Interactive Entertainment. And even though you can't really do much in it, it's a great way to bring up a game from back in the day and sort of see a piece of history in gaming culture. And again, these are all projects the community has banded together to create and keep games preserved. And if the community is doing this through reverse engineering efforts, it would only be beneficial if companies had to have an end of life plan. So people who are interested in these games, or these games hold memories to you, you'll never actually lose them to the fabric of time, simply because that's what big corporations want you. They want you to immediately buy the next product, and they want to keep this world of planned obsolescence alive.
With projects like RPCN, you too can actually configure other PlayStation 3 games like Kill.
I have to go pick up a friend of mine I had the best take here. I had the best take on the entire page. You know I did. You are blinded by dislike. It's such a really good fucking phrase. You guys are blinded by
Hello, guys and gals.
You're blinded by dislike. You are blinded by dislike. I gotta drink milk. Because I have to go somewhere. In 45 minutes, but that's okay. I've had 2 beers. I'm good. Only I may dance. Only I may dance.
Udahar, and you caught me in the middle of the night playing some SOCOM 2 on the old PlayStation. Now, you know, what is
Oh my god. Anyways, I don't want to watch this. Let's get out. Or I want to watch this, but I want to go back to where we were before the software developer became incompetent. Right around 1983, software development became incompetent, and I can't get what I want instantly because they want to make software be this thing that you have to fix 5 or 6 times before it'll give you what you want. And I'm sorry, but your human fuckery, your fuck ups as humans, as software developers, should not be published into the code. I need the software to work the first time that I ask it to tell it to jump forward.
projects that are centered around game preservation. I think it was Sony Interactive Entertainment. And even though you can't really do much in it, it's a great way to bring up a game from back in the day and sort of see a piece of history in gaming culture. And again, these are all projects the community has banded together to create and keep games preserved. And if the community...
Only I may dance. Only I may dance. Only I may dance.
is doing this through reverse engineering efforts, it would only be beneficial if companies had to have an end-of-life plan. So people who are interested in these games, or these games hold memories to you, you'll never actually lose them to the fabric of time, simply because that's what big corporations want you. They want you to immediately buy the next product, and they want to keep this world of planned obsolescence alive. With projects like RPCN, you too can actually configure other PlayStation 3 games, like Killzone 2 for instance, and play them in online communities as well. It's all of the stuff that really adds into an amazing experience. And to cut back on, Jason's bullshit here, Pirate Software's nonsense, I played literally Xbox Live on the OG Xbox again. Now, one of the points that I didn't like from Pirate Software was this one comment on his video regarding Meet Your Maker, a game with tons of user-generated content.
where he said without a UGC game where you make dungeons that other people playing, without that large player base, that game becomes stale because of a lack of variation, which I guess is true. A lot of games do end up dying out. Now, in my previous video, I talked about Little Big Planet and how there exists an archive of old user-created content that can just serve as a scrapbook of time. I think we all know that eventually every large-scale game will wane in its player base and die. That's just how things go. That's business. That's life. That's YouTube channels. That's, you know, just the slow march of time hitting, right? That's how things work. So it's not a matter of like you cannot preserve the essence of a game like this with a small group of players. It needs thousands or more active players to give the experience. And all those games that I showed you give you the experience and the essence of a game, even with player bases less than 100 average users at any given time. Now, granted, those games don't, you know, have a bunch of UGC, but again, these are online experiences that we all grew up with that I think are really important, and preserving just the ability to play them is there. Because at some point, maybe you would like to go back and see where a certain favorite game franchise of yours went and what the gameplay consisted of. And if you can't access it, then there's just no way to experience it unless you maybe watch a YouTube video. And even that isn't the same feeling.
So inside one of these comments on, I guess, Louis Rossman's video, he writes, "I'm aware of the process of an initiative to be turned into legislature much further down the road, after many edits. If people want me to back it, then the technical and monetary hurdles of applying the request need to be included in the conversation. As written, this initiative would put a massive, undue burden on developers, both in AAA and indie, to the extent of killing off live service games. It's entirely too vague on what the problem is and currently opens a conversation that causes more problems instead of fixing the ones it wants to do. If we want to hit the niche and terrible business practices of incorrectly advertising live service games or always online single player only games, then call that out directly. Not just video games."
Yeah, this is one of the best comments I've ever made. Okay, it was a good comment. Yeah.
As stated in the initiative. So this is where I do tend to disagree. Calling out video games to exist well after a company wants to stop supporting them is the initiative. We don't want video games to die. It doesn't matter if the video game is a single-player experience, single-player with multiplayer, forced, or a live service MMO experience. It should have an end-of-life plan. Remember, the thing about Stop Killing Games was it was never retroactive, meaning that no matter what had happened after the initiative was passed and the laws were made, anything that exists as of right now is pretty much untouched. But it does set a precedent to go into the future that if you're a game developer and you want to cater to the EU markets, you should design an end-of-life plan. Remember, the EU economy is like 15% of the world's trade, which is not insignificant. After the Chinese and the Americans come the entire European Union. And so, of course, if something's going to happen in the EU, it's probably going to trickle down to the rest of the world. And that's why this initiative matters for all of us. And if we're going to push even further, it's not just video games that are the problem. I think the issue is we only focus on video games here. But let's say that you're somebody that loves movies or music. Remember, initiatives like this that focus on preservation matter for you too. Don't you want every single movie that exists out there to be preserved or something down the road so we as human beings don't lose any form of history? Don't you want music to be preserved? It's a lot different for movies and music because you can just screen record an entire season of a TV show or an entire movie. You can rip entire music CDs onto hardware. Hell, back in the day for the PS2, you could rip entire musical CDs all day, every day. Okay, that used to be a thing back then. Nowadays, not so fucking much, at least on consoles. And this is important. But when it comes to things like software, it's not just video games. A lot of big companies want us to be locked into this live subscription model. So whether you use things like Microsoft Windows or Adobe Premiere, for instance, which is a great example. Adobe used to be a software you could just go to the store and buy a copy of, for a specific, version of that year. Now, you could keep this version and install it whenever you wanted to, but now you have to be locked into subscriptions from Adobe. And there are times where even if you want to cancel that subscription, you may be subject to absurd cancellation fees. Things that shouldn't be legal are now legal and normalized. And it's really up to us as a consumer group to at least advocate for better solutions. There's good regulations like what happened to Apple. In the EU, Apple users are basically allowed to install whatever application they want to their phones. And Apple is so malicious, they geo-lock that to make sure that we in America, we in Canada, we anywhere outside the EU don't even get those benefits. But, when Apple was forced to basically go into their actual phones and get rid of their shitty lightning cable and give us USB-C, all of a sudden they touted all the benefits you get with this cable. Even though literally Android users had these benefits and Apple was the last holdout and they had to be forced by an entire economic zone to fucking cater with a better technology. It's actually insane sometimes when you have to regulate companies into doing just some good or to protect the actual consumer, which is what Stop Killing Games is ultimately about. So looking further into Pirate Software's words over here, he talks about more specifically in the second video, what really are these scenarios? So he talks about potential scenarios where a studio could be abused if the initiative was implemented as written. It adds new paths for abuse and that need to be discussed to help hone this initiative into something that would do good without doing harm. I then explained that very few people in the game development space can actually discuss this from the other side due to fear of losing their jobs. And a studio is much safer in silent dissent than they are discussing the drawbacks of your ideals. The recent attacks on our games is obvious evidence of this. My main issue with this initiative is that it is broad in its approach to change the industry and the exact language of the initiative, not the FAQ request that all games stay in a functional playable state. That is not feasible for all games at a technical level and could potentially restrict developers from making online-only games like MMOs, MOBAs, and user-generated content games in the future. That list is not exhaustive, and it doesn't matter if you do or don't like those kind of games. So this is one of those things where on surface level, yeah, it makes sense, right? Why would you ever want to stifle an MMO from existing, or a MOBA from existing, or any game with UGC? Except that's not what the initiative was ever about, and he's still not actually addressing what are the technical hurdles that you're stopping from this initiative being passed, right? So I wanted to look at one of Pirate Software's videos, specifically that second video he was talking about, and kind of understand what his points were and deconstruct them a little bit, because I don't think that they're actually all that valid.
That's the most common requirement of the initiative, which is games have to be left in a functional, playable state. Now, what happens if that game is a online-only live service game?
Well, he can see it from a creator's point of view, which is that nobody's going to pay for a fucking MMO like 76 that nobody plays, or I don't know, what's another good one like that? EverQuest or whatever that nobody plays. He knows that as the creator, it's up to the creator's decision as to whether or not that game sunsets. It can't be forced on that creator. It can't be done.
If you want that to stay in a functional, playable state, that means the devs have to release either server binaries or somehow carve off the game to be a single-player experience now. Some way to keep it functional and playable, right? Now, many of you are requesting, yes, I should get the server binaries so that I can go and make private servers for this. But that doesn't make a lot of sense in the real world. And the reason why is because it leaves developers open to abuse. So let's explore that a little bit. Let's say that you made your own video game, and you made a live service game. Maybe it's an MMO, maybe it's something else, right? And let's say that I want to monetize that game, but you don't allow monetization of the game by any other party. This makes sense because most creators don't allow for that. You can't just take someone else's art and profit off of it. Normal, right? So then I go, well, how am I going to force you to do this? Under this initiative, you would have to release the server binaries or keep the game in a functional, playable state at end of life. So I hit you with a ton of bots. I hit you with a ton of exploits. I attack your community. I destroy your Reddit. I go after your business. I go everywhere that I possibly can to make this cost as much as it possibly can for you. And it's not hard to do this. We saw the exact same thing happen in TF2 recently. The massive amount of bots that were attacking the game. This is not infeasible. This is something that is very easily attainable today. And let's say that this goes on long enough that your game dies because you can't afford it anymore, and your studio has to shut down. At end of life, you now have to release those server binaries to keep the game in a functional, playable state. At which point I take those, I create a private server, and I monetize it. And some people have said, well, simply don't allow monetization of the server. Well, who's going to enforce that? If you want a government initiative to enforce that, that means the government has to build a registry of all of those games and all of that intellectual property that shouldn't be monetized, and then somehow enforce that.
Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but I want to actually play everything in context. I don't want to be labeled a clip chimper in the situation. I don't want to be somebody that doesn't give you the full context of what somebody's saying. And again, if you want to see all of his video, it's completely available on his channel. But the actual example that he talked about here sounds a lot like corporate espionage, corporate sabotage, sorry, that's the better term. And the thing is, it's true, right? Like, yes, let's say that a company, and, he mentioned Team Fortress 2, which is a game that didn't even have official servers until after, Valve had transitioned things to a source multiplayer framework. But a lot of people did get those server binaries, and they did host games. And while TF2, yes, they had a bot problem, and I believe in some cases they still do, there's a lot of stuff the community has done with those server binaries provided by Valve to create an amazing, fun gaming experience. But what he's talking about is obviously, let's say somebody takes, your video game, they take your binaries, they basically attack your game. They attack your game with bots, nefarious practices, and as soon as your game is dead, right, because these people have attacked it, they'll release the server binaries, somebody takes your server binaries, they revitalize your dead game, and then inject things like monetization. So again, it's a vehicle, I guess, according to Jason, that people can legally attack a video game, destroy them, and then be able to rehost them and profit off of the art that another person created, which again, I think is a pretty legitimate thing to somewhat worry about, right? Like, yes, that could happen. But he's also talked about what is the enforcement mechanism? Would they have to have a registry? And what he's describing is something that already exists. Again, these are not situations that are, unavoidable. Companies like Riot Games, for instance, shut down an entire League of Legends private server because they felt it encroached their intellectual property and copyrights. And again, it's debatable if they did that, but they shut it down using the legal channels. Same thing with Blizzard when they shut down World of Warcraft private servers because they felt it was violating their terms of services or copyrights. And even people like Pirate Software, who's an independent developer, has at times used the DMCA, and it's debatable if it's false or not, to weaponize it against people that he has not liked, people that he believed were abusing his copyright, mostly his actual likeness. They took some apparently alleged clips from his stream, used them in promotional material, and instead of attacking the promotional material directly, it seems his team went directly for the actual developer's Steam, game, even though that Steam build did not have any of the offending DMCA material. Again, if you're worried about copyrights and you're worried about, people using things for nefarious purposes, the legal channels are available to protect your game even long after it's dead. There are games that have private servers that are still not supported. Nothing would even stop someone like Konami from going after that Save MGO project and shutting it down simply because they're distributing Konami assets. But let's go further in, okay? Again, I don't think that this should be a cause reason for preventing any form of preservation, whether things are live service or not. But Jason has a few things to say about live service itself. Let's hear this.
So, in the most extreme, people said live service games shouldn't exist at all, and the initiative will kill them off for good, and that's a good thing. Well, you don't get to define what players get to play or not play. You also shouldn't be able to get to define what developers build or don't build. You should not have creative control over the developers, and you should not have control over what is in my Steam library or on my phone. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Aside from that, the initiative does not purport to kill live service games. It would just make it incredibly difficult to build said games and add a lot of risk to it, which is why I'm bringing all of this up and why I don't support the initiative in the first place. A lot of people don't realize that this will slowly diminish live service games in the market, because it's not an incentive for us to build them anymore, which means you get less multiplayer live experiences.
And this is where I'm not going to mince words. I actually don't see the problem in any of that. I get that he likes live service experiences, but if regulation exists to prevent video games from all going into this planned obsolescence model, because here's the thing, it's a very rosy view that video games are live servicey, they constantly have, stuff being injected in, and for some stuff that can work, an MMO probably needs to be connected online all the time, but to not have an end of life plan for when that game eventually goes away is an issue. Now, he does mention later on in this video, and I don't need to play it, but obviously, I think a big problem is how these games are built, right? Obviously, if you, as a developer, came out and said, hey, buddy, listen, you're just renting the game, you're not buying it, that would alleviate a lot of purchasing concerns. But I also think it would very negatively impact the sales of a video game if people were just told outright, yeah, this is a rental. So if you're spending $60 today, well, you might consider getting a game that'll be around, long after. You don't want to get something that has a end of life guarantee, but you just don't know when that end of life is. Now, the thing is with live service stuff is, look, if game companies are regulated to, again, have an end-of-life plan, and that means that producing a video game that is planned to be obsolete from the beginning is risky, then that really isn't anybody's problem, okay? At the end of the day, that should be a practice that isn't accepted in the gaming sphere. I get that you like live services. I played a few live services that I enjoy myself. But I'm thinking of the long-term implications of game preservation, and he does touch upon it here.
To fix something. So the next one is that this is about games preservation, and that it needs to happen to preserve these types of games for future generations and for everyone to always have forever. But I would argue that this isn't actually preserving these games. Social games, such as, let's say, Apex Legends, require a number of players to be in the match at the same time so that you can have an experience that is only able to be obtained through lots of players interacting, right? It's a multiplayer game, you need a bunch of people. How many of you have felt negatively when an MMO dies, or when a live service game dies? Oh, dead game. There's only 5 people online. Why would I play that? So why would you want to preserve a game in that state? That doesn't make any sense to me. You want to take down these live service games, put them up on a private server, and then play it with a couple of people. You're not bringing it back at its height. You're not taking a snapshot of what the game actually is. You're making it limp on in a way that doesn't make any sense. That's not preservation. And for those that may stop there and go, but private servers going to have a lot of players. Look at all the ones for World of Warcraft. Again, we talked about that. It opens up a route for abuse of the developers.
Now again, when it comes to the abuse of developers, sure, but those developers can always go through the legal channel as you have when there was abuse that you perceived. And any large company does that and still does it to this day. But the thing about any of this, you're not capturing games and preserving them as their height or whatever, that to me doesn't really make any sense. And I don't know why he
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I've got to go. I got railroaded into... Oh, cool. My camera fucked up a long time ago, huh? Man, that's cool. Sorry, piece of shit software developers have taken over the world and destroyed everything, including my camera. It's insane. So anyways, sorry, guys. I'll be back here in about an hour. I love you guys. I'm going to pause... Hi guys, I'm going to unpause and do some recording here. It is now 7:30 in the evening, and excuse me. It is now 7:30 in the evening, and I haven't started my stream. I'm just recording. I am just recording because I was going to watch a review of a game because I saw a game on the Steam sale that kind of intrigues me, and I figured I would do that on a video. And so, yeah, we're 3.5 hours into this recording, so that's about right. So, going to play Planet Crafter review. That guy seems like he's passionate about it, but let's do Gaming Bolt, see what he says. Wow. Frame rate's good for a game like this.
There's a point in Meiju Games' sci-fi survival crafting title, The Planet Crafter, where everything feels like it's smooth sailing. You built several heaters, pumped up the O2 supply, gotten a few Tier 2 drills running, and constructed a decent range of wind turbines and solar panels. The sky turns blue and clouds begin to form on the planet. You even launch a few satellites into the sky. Life is good, right? However, you suddenly see the requirements for melting the ice dotting your world. How much heat do you need? Suddenly, it becomes a push to gain that oh-so-essential osmium for crafting higher-tier upgrades and new tools. That moment occurs several times throughout a playthrough. You go from mining a few materials and increasing the amount of pressure, heat...
To third party, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Of the original Dead Island. Oh. Dying Light. Oh yeah, the parkour game. Yeah. I guess I intend to look at the Steam sale. Guess I'm a survival player. I kind of need to buy Dune Awakening. I could just buy Dune Awakening. RuneScape Dragon Wilds is $24. That's a pretty good deal. I don't know, maybe that's a good game. I didn't like the way the wood chopping looked. I think to them it's just some mechanic, but to me, chopping trees is actually a serious gameplay thing for me, and they need to do it well. PUBG Battlegrounds is free to play. Project Zomboid. Last of Us Part 1. Peak. Don't Starve Together. Satisfactory. Power World is $22. I am going to buy some games. I think I have surrounded on my my playlist, or sorry, my buy list. Soul Mask, Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. I didn't think this game was as good as I thought it could be. I don't know, it looks good. I didn't know it was that bright. Maybe I should play more Tainted Grail. No pronouns. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, the end is bad. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Unity part of it. I will have to go drive a friend home here in a couple of hours or something. I'm not really sure how long. My phone is charged. I know that, right? Yeah. They're saying it's rushed towards the end. Risen. Yeah, Risen was a good game.
Oxygen and
Yeah, I have Tainted Grail sitting there. I could play that game. I'm just looking at stuff to buy in the Steam sale, and Tainted Grail is on sale. That's one of them I could do. I kind of want Life is Feudal Your Own. Oh, there's a subscription. Well, yeah, but I have that Immortal, and I don't play Immortal. The most convoluted crafting games ever made. That's like Mortal, kind of. Mortal's kind of convoluted. Surrounded, I don't know if it's in my cart. Skull and Bones, Surrounded, and Beyond Two Souls, I think is what I ended up with, which is like $20, and I do want to buy Skull and Bones, even though it's an Ubisoft game, because, yeah, I mean, like, I want to play Skull and Bones just once and see, and for that price, you can't go wrong. It might be a really good game for that price, $14. So I'm going to... Yeah. I thought Big Crab might be good, but then it ended up being... It ended up looking far too, like, third-party, kind of. Tempted to buy Dune. I mean, I really am, you know. Go continue shopping, and I will take a look through what else is here. Skyrim Anniversary Edition is for sale, but I have that. Eternal Dominance Pack. Your wish list. X4 Foundations is for sale. I could finally buy it, and then I could run it in GeForce Now. Deadfire is a game I would like to buy, but I know I won't play it. Turn-based mode for Pillars of Eternity 2, and I don't really know what that means. This is a good game, and if I were to play a CRPG, this is the one that I think is the highest quality. I have Baldur's Gate 3, but I don't ever want to play it again. Yeah, this was an interesting game, and I would like to buy it and run it on GeForce Now. NBA 2K25 for $10. Fields of Mystria, Isaac, Steam Deck, Dead by Daylight, Grounded, Satisfactory, Lens Island. Wonder what Lens Island is. Nope. Last of Us Part 1, The Outlast Trials. I won't be negative. I'm just not going to do it. City and Settlement. I guess City and Settlement might take a look. City and Settlement Builders. Going Medieval. Aska. Aska, you know, I bought Aska once, I think. Or no, did I buy Aska? Was it Aska? I can't remember. Was it Aska? I don't think this is jumping out at me. Stranded Alien Dawn. Why does that sound familiar? Wasn't Stranded a series on 360 or something? Alien Dawn. Oops. Shouldn't have picked at it. Oh well. Interesting. So Aska, going medieval, there's manor lords. Rimworld royalty, what's that? Rimworld ideology, I didn't know. Oh no, those are DLC for Rimworld. Bellwright. Bellwright was okay, but I didn't like it as much as other games. The Bustling World. How we doing here? Complete. Oh no, I gotta pick up. I'm going to rent. Set. Add. Set. Add. Go to pick up the large group of science graduates and leave. I suppose I'll turn on some Eve music, which I haven't done in a while, and I'll just browse the store. Maybe I should buy X4, but I don't know if it's like the whole package or not. Maybe it might be good time to finally buy X4 on GeForce Now. No, because no. No. Darfall. Doesn't that sound like Darkfall? It sounds like Darkfall. Some of these look interesting, but I don't know. Like, I don't think they're like a lot of these are good. City Builder, Colony Sim, Puzzle, Multiplayer, Planet Zoo, Civ 7? Civ 7. I can get Civ 6 for $3, which I've never played before. That might be pretty fun, but I don't really feel like playing a game like that, though. I'm gonna buy... I really thought it out. I'm gonna buy... Oh, Empire of the Ants. I wanted that, but not for that much money. I would really like to play this, but this is too much money for this. I'm sure this is a good game, but it's not what I'm looking for, though. I'm looking for an ant sim, and that's a bit more of an adventure game. Northgard. Yeah, I don't really care about these planet crafters. I'm gonna go back to the sale. I checked the deep discounts. Riders Republic for $4 might be pretty fun. I was just thinking about how fun a snowboard game might be. There's a jet. Wow. This might be a really fun game. Gris was a good game. I wouldn't mind owning it for $1.50. This was a great game. But, again, I'll probably never play it again. Fields of Mystria. Open world survival craft. I want to see more. Dragon Wilds is a little bit cheaper right now. That might be a good... I don't think Jagex makes bad games. I'm sure this might be a fun little game. 1 to 4 player survival crafting game, but it's like... I couldn't see this potentially... Or, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's my thing. Oh, hey, yes, I am. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Take your time.
Oh, no, I'm okay. I'm going to pause.